லெட்டர் அண்ட் மற்ற சேனல்ஸ்ல எல்லாம் அந்த லிங்க் வரும். மத்தவங்க வந்து யூடியூப் சேனல்ல போய் தான் பார்க்கணும்.
ஓகேங்க. ஐ மீன் இமெயில் வந்துடுமா? பிகாஸ் யூ ஆர் லைஃப் மெம்பர். இமெயில் வரும்.
உங்களுக்கு இமெயில் வருங்க.
ஓகே, தேங்க் யூ.
இது ரெக்கார்ட் ஆயிட்டு இருக்குதுங்களா?
இது ரெஜிஸ்டர் பண்ணணுங்களா? அப்படிதான் இல்ல, இமெயில் எல்லாருக்குமே வருங்களா? சாரி, so to clarify.
If you're a GATS member, you will definitely get the emails.
Okay, got you. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
கிருத்தியா, நான் வந்து உங்களுக்கு இது அனுப்புகிறேன், யூடியூப்பில் லிங்க் அனுப்புகிறேன்.
ஓகே ஓகே. என்னன்னா வந்து செல்வம்
சொல்லுங்க கிருத்திகா.
நான் இப்ப நம்மளோட GATS தமிழ் குழுமம் குரூப்ல வந்து ஃபிளையரும் மெசேஜும் போட்டேன்.
ஓகே.
அது வந்து மத்த குரூப்ஸுக்கும் நம்ம ஃபார்வர்ட் பண்ணணும். அண்ட் லெட் மீ ஷேர் இது யூடியூப் லைவும் நம்ம we are doing it. நேத்துக்கு மக்கள் நேத்துக்கு மேக்ஸ் ரீச் ஆயிடுச்சுல, சோ அதனால many people could not join. நான் இப்ப நம்மளோட GATS தமிழ் குழுமம் குரூப்ல வந்து ஃபிளையரும் ரிப்பீட் ஆகுது. நான் பேசுறது எனக்கே கேக்குது.
இல்ல நான் யூடியூப் போன்ல செக் பண்ணி பார்த்தேன் ஒர்க் ஆச்சுன்ட்டு.
சரி, ஓகே
ஓகே, தென் ஐ
ட்ரிம் பண்ணிடுவீங்கல்ல ஃபைனலா. அவரோட பேசிட்டு இருக்கிறேன். ஓகே, எனிவே சோ அது மட்டும் அந்த லிங்க் உங்களுக்கு அனுப்பிச்சிருக்கிறேங்க செல்வம். அதை வந்து கொஞ்சம் மத்த குரூப்ஸ்க்கு அப்படியே கேஸ்கேட் பண்ணிடுங்க.
சரிங்க, ஓகேங்க.
நான் என்னோட போர்ஷன் முடிச்ச பின்னாடி ஐ வில் ஸ்டார்ட் சர்க்குலேட்டிங் டு.
ஓகே. ஏடி ஜாயின் பண்ணிட்டாரா? லிங்க் கேட்டாரு.
He said he's going to join.
Hello.
Hello.
Quick question actually before the session starts. Quick question.
Sure.
Yesterday's session we missed it actually. Is there any way? I thought actually both are same, and then I decided to join the second one, but now I realized that it's different content, from the first session. So was it recorded by any chance?
Yeah, it's been recorded, and if you are a GATS member, you'll get the links in the newsletter and in the GATS channels. But if you are a non-member, you can search for it on our YouTube link, and then YouTube, and you can get it, GATS YouTube. I will go ahead and share that link as well in the chat.
Thank you. That would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, it's 3:01. Just let's give 2 more minutes for folks to join, and then we'll get started. Suresh, please stay on the call for some more time. And once everything is good, if you need to drop off, then you can drop.
இல்லை, I'll stay throughout the callங்க. நான் நேற்று வந்து
Okay.
it reached max count, அதனால அட்லீஸ்ட் என்னால் ஒரு பேரண்டாக ஜாயின் பண்ண நல்லா இருக்குமே அப்படின்றதுக்காக பார்த்தேன்.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Okay, AD has joined. That's good. Okay, so Vanakkam, AD. Yeah, we were trying to go on YouTube live as well, because yesterday many folks could not join because we reached the max limit. So that's why we enabled the YouTube live, but we couldn't send the links everywhere. So Selvam is working on sending it now. Okay, so yeah. So if you guys are outside of Atlanta and you have joined the session, can you please identify yourself? We would love to hear from you. Anyone?
Hi, this is Abhirami. So I already logged in for my son Sham yesterday from Austin.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us again.
Hi, this is Sabira. We are joining from Atlanta, Arizona.
Sorry, Arizona. Okay, thank you for joining, Sabira.
Yeah.
This is Shailaja. I'm joining from Columbus. This is for my son Ramachandra, who is now 9th grade.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, it's 3:03, so we can probably get started. Okay, so on behalf of GATS, I welcome you all. And for those of you who do not know me, or if you're first time tuning in, I'm Kritika Bharati. I'm one of the board of directors in GATS. And for those of you who do not know what GATS is, it's a nonprofit organization running for 44 years, and it stands for Greater Atlanta Tamil Sangam. So before we dive into the actual presentation, I would like to invite our chairman for this year, Mr. Annadurai Thangavel. He will be giving you a quick overview of GATS. After that, we will start doing the presentation. Okay. So, AD, if you're there, please go ahead and unmute yourself. And if you can turn your camera on, it'll be helpful.
Oh, turn my camera on. Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay. Can you see it now?
Yes, we can see you. Please go ahead.
All right. Yeah. Hey, good evening, everyone. My name is Annadurai Thangavel. They call me as AD here in Atlanta Tamil Sangam. They call it as a Greater Atlanta Tamil Sangam. That's what they call it as GATS. It's been there for more than 40 years. It formed as a different name, then it got carried out with multiple different names. So finally, we end up with the Greater Atlanta Tamil Sangam. It covers like a entire Atlanta area, including Columbus and other area too. So now we are doing a lot of activities here in Great Atlanta Tamil Sangam, as like we do like a blood donation drive, and also we do that 5K marathon for just to unite people, just to get some fundraising events we do every year. And also we do a lot of sports activities like a pickleball, and also we do like a volleyball tournaments, like a sports related activities. On top of all this, we do this youth volunteering work. That is a big in our organization right now. It's picked up for like the last 5 years, I would say. Kritika Bharati is one of the great volunteers. She's been with us for so long. So she's been driving this the youth activities, now bringing all the kids together, doing some now a lot of activities in like a charity work, and all this learning thing, and SAD opportunities now, coaching opportunities, and all those things has been driven by this youth team. Now that is what now things keep it moving for this organization. Plus, like we also planning to do some sessions more like how to get into the colleges, like and also you guys know that, right? Like Ivy League colleges, like now you have like the 7 or 8 colleges in the top. That more than that, like Ivy League, I would say like a colleges like Anna University, if you know Tamil Nadu, Anna University, or GCT or PhD Tech. Now those kind of universities called, I would say, Ivy League, but there's more than Ivy League colleges like West Point, right? The West Point's kind of a IIT. Now we're also trying to bring some students from Greater Atlanta Tamil Sangam now from West Point, so that they can give speech about that college, how to get into those colleges. Now that's what we are also working on. So please stay tuned with us. Now we will bring more learning opportunities and how to get into that colleges. Now those things will come in place pretty soon. Now this is a quick introduction from our side. Now please feel free. I don't want to take much of your time. Just please feel free to go ahead now from your session. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you.
Thank you so much, AD. So yeah, as AD said, there are a lot of things we do here in GATS, and if you're a non-member and you would like to become a member, we'll go ahead and share the details. This by no means is a session to solicit membership at all. It's just that, as you all know, any non-profit organization is run only by the support of volunteers, sponsors, and members. So in order for us to continue to do such activities, a membership would be great. So if you are interested, we'll go ahead and share that information. And Harsha, if you don't mind, can you please share that overview of GATS screen?
Of course. Give me
Thank
one
you.
second. Hold on.
I still don't see it up.
There you go. You guys see it?
Still coming up. Yeah, if you can go to the next slide. Okay, thank you. So yeah, so as Mr. AD already said, this organization was formed to promote Tamil education, charity, and Tamil culture. But over the years, we have grown a lot more. We have a lot of branches. So if you would like to explore them, please do visit our website. And also, we have the links up here. It has been shared in the chat as well. So please do check it out. We have a lot of volunteer opportunities for kids where they can help out and gain hours that can be used to apply for the US Presidential Service Award. There are member-only related opportunities and there are non-member related opportunities too. So if you're a non-member, I would like to draw your attention to the last two links. We have this GATS tutoring program where your students can go ahead and tutor students K through 12. This is open to all students. Wherever you are, you can tutor because these are online sessions. So please do make use of them. If if you don't want to tutor, that is also fine. But if you have a child who needs help, please do make use of this. This is open to all students across North America. Okay, so with this, I'll move on to the next slide. I would like to introduce our moderator for today, Mr. Harsha Rajarajan. So he is a freshman at Kennesaw State University who's majoring in electrical engineering. And he's a member of the Honors College and an undergraduate researcher. He's a national public speaking champion, and he holds a state record for most awards within 1 year in mock trial. And he's also the brand ambassador for the North-South Foundation. Okay, so and then apart from this, we also have to say he's very much a fluent speaker of Tamil. Like he talks really well, and he has participated in many debates. There wouldn't be any difference at all. Like you would never feel that he's born and raised here. He speaks Tamil so well, and he also volunteers in GATS as a tutor and a photographer for so many of our events. So other than that, he's currently involved in aerial robotics competition team as a powertrain and electronics engineer. He's doing his undergraduate research and he's an official member of the Kennesaw State University SGA Senate. So with this, I'll turn it over to Harsha, who will handle the rest of the session.
Thank you so much for that amazing introduction, Mrs. Krithika. I just wanted to say hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. It is a pleasure to moderate this information session, and it is a pleasure to be here. Thank you for taking the time to come to this meeting, taking your time out of your day to, help your child or help yourself in your college journey. So yes, I am a college student. I go to Kennesaw State University, or KSU for short. I'm an electrical engineering major, and it's great. I love college, and I really hope I can take my experience and give some of that to you today. So moving on to the agenda slide. Here we go. All right, so this is basically the rundown for everything we're going to be doing for today's session. We already had the welcome note and the overview of GATS, and sooner or later, we're going to be going into the really the meat of the session here, which is the information. So first off, we're going to be doing a session called Decoding High School from Stuti, and then we're going to be moving into Navigating College Applications from Anudipti, and then College Essays, Tips and Insights from Ariman. And then later on, after that, we're going to have the PVSA through GATS presentation by Mrs. Krithika once again, and then we're going to have a Q&A session. Now, this is really important, guys. I really want you guys to stay tuned until the Q&A session, because this is where your questions obviously get answered. And once you get that personal question or that personal, want for information answered, and you get that insight, trust me, it's going to help a lot. And then, of course, we're going to have a feedback session at the end, and then a thank you note from Mr. Selvam. So moving on, feedback. This is really, really important to us, guys. Again, you're taking time out of your day to be here, but we are also putting our time and our efforts to be here. So we would really, really appreciate it if you just take a minute of your time and just give us your thoughts throughout the session. You don't have to do it now. You can do it whenever you like. But again, feedback is much appreciated because it refines our presentational skills. It refines everything we put into this program. It makes us better. And honestly, if you have nothing bad to say and it's just positive feedback, we love to hear it. We love reading that positive, feedback, those notes. So again, if you feel like being nice or you have something to say, please put in that note through the feedback link. We have a link here, and we also have a QR code. So whatever you would like to do, just please. Thank you. All right. So moving in to the meat of the presentation, actual information here. All right, so I'm going to be introducing Stuti Thumala. She is a speaker, and she's going to be doing Decoding High School. So Stuti is a honors computer science major with a mathematics minor at the University of Georgia, and she's also a CS undergraduate research. See, she was one of 3 finalists for the Women in Technology Girl of the Year Award, and that's a selection from a global network of over 48,000 women. So definitely really selective, very impressive. She's also a regional award winner for the NCWIT Aspirations in Computing. And apart from that, she scored a 1570 on the SAT and was named a National Cyber Scholar, and then went on to earn the GIAC Security Foundation certification. Again, I would trust her a lot, guys. This is really impressive stuff. And again, she volunteered as a youth council member for Make-A-Wish America. She did smoke alarm installations with American Red Cross, tutored with GATS, and was also a digital safety specialist at a senior living facility in high school. So very impressive. I would like to introduce Stuti and for her to do her presentation. Stuti, you there?
Yeah, hi. Thank you so much for that introduction. My name is Stuti, and this is Decoding High School. Firstly, I want to thank GATS and Kritikanti for setting the session up. So this is going to be everything I wish I knew when I was in your position, but I did right and wrong, and advice from people who have done extremely well across multiple majors, and it'll all be backed up by evidence and statistics from universities. We'll cover what really matters, what admissions officers are looking for, and how to strategically build your high school experience to stand out in college applications. Let's get into it. So Harsh already did a great job of introducing me, but my name is Stuti, as I mentioned. I was a graduate from Alliance Academy for Innovation, and I'm an honors computer science student at UGA. These are some of the schools I was accepted to. So the first thing I want to talk about is AP classes. I know most of you guys have your classes set for this year, but this will apply to every other year of high schools. I want to emphasize course rigor. I get it. AP classes can be tough, and the notorious rigor of AP classes is what causes a lot of counselors and parents to tell students to not take more than 1 to 2 AP classes a year. But with the current state of college admissions, especially for top 30 schools, taking a strong load of AP classes is essential. If you're aiming for if you're aiming for top 30 schools, pushing yourself with as many AP courses as you can handle is key. For Georgia Tech, the typical student enters with 6 to 12 AP courses, depending on their major and the level of competitiveness within their high school. And at UGA, the average admitted student has around 7 AP courses. For students in the Moorhead Honors College at UGA, the average number of AP courses taken during high school is typically around 8 to 12 AP courses. But I would like to emphasize how I said you should take as many AP courses as you can handle, not as many as you're allowed to take. I'm not saying that if your schools offer 26 APs to go ahead and take them all. Focus on taking the absolute most AP courses you can handle while still dedicating time to your extracurriculars. For me, that number was 14. For others, that number might be 15, 9, 10, etc. Don't hyper focus on APs and forget about the importance of extracurriculars. Remember, admissions officers are looking for students who can handle rigorous academics and thrive in other areas of their life. So to reiterate, the key takeaway here is taking the absolute most amount of AP courses you can handle. You can go ahead and move to the next. Yeah, thank you. So to talk about in-school clubs, there's a lot of misconceptions about in-school clubs. And the biggest one I want to emphasize is that I see a lot of high school students bragging about how they're in 20 clubs and thinking that that's all they need to do. Instead of spreading yourself too thin by joining too many clubs where you can't make an impact, focus on 3 to 4 clubs where you can truly contribute. This targeted involvement allows you to accomplish meaningful things and stand out to admissions committees. Aim for leadership roles. Strive to get officer or leadership positions in the clubs that you're committed to. This shows that you're able to demonstrate initiative and that you can take responsibility within an organization. Evidence shows that admissions officers prefer to see real accomplishments in a few activities rather than shallow involvement in many. For example, Stanford University has explicitly stated that they value depth over breadth in extracurricular activities. So what does this mean? It means that it looks 100 times better to admissions committees to say you were a part of 3 clubs and volunteered, held leadership positions, and improved the club than to say you were a part of 20 clubs and just went to meetings to scan attendance forms all year long. Personally, for me, my clubs in high school were Beta Club, Debate Club, and Science National Honor Society and FBLA. I was an officer in Debate Club, Beta Club, and Science National Honor Society, and I competed in FBLA. So I wasn't a part of any filler clubs, which is something that I think I really got right in high school. So in my research, could you click one more time, please? In my research for college apps, I was looking at a real feedback and rating sheet of an application to the University of Michigan, and I saw something I had never seen talked about online when discussing extracurriculars, and this is continuity. It's extremely important to stay involved in some of the same extracurricular activities from freshman year through to senior year or from sophomore year through to senior year. Demonstrating growth and increased leadership over time, such as moving from a membership to a leadership role, shows dedication and the ability to manage long-term commitments. The University of Michigan and other top schools like Stanford and Harvard look for students who show continuity in activities over time. This sustained involvement signals to admissions committees that you're dedicated and capable of managing long-term commitments. So now to discuss outside extracurriculars. So these are not in-school clubs, but what you do outside. These will generally fall into 3 buckets, excluding sports. And those 3 buckets are professional opportunities, volunteering, and just for fun organizations. On the slide, you can see my involvement in all 3 of these buckets, and you can see how each kind of fits into each of those buckets. So a huge misconception with extracurriculars is that colleges are looking for well-rounded students. What they're really looking for is a well-rounded student body. What does this mean? A college isn't looking for every student to be amazing at everything. So you don't have to worry about being a top athlete, a star chess player, and a musical prodigy all in one person. Instead, they might admit one student who excels at scientific research, another who's an accomplished violinist, and another one who's a star athlete. These individuals together create a well-rounded student body with varied strengths. So the takeaway here is to take a couple things you're passionate about and pursue them to a high level instead of doing a million things to show that you're a well-rounded student. So professional opportunities like internships or jobs that align with your future career goals have significant weight in college applications because they demonstrate real-world skills. Internships are rare in high school for computer science or computer engineering majors, but I've seen a lot of people get internships for healthcare. But while internships are going to be difficult, try to join professional organizations while possible. An example of this is Women in Technology, and that was something I was heavily involved with in high school. And Internship for Scythe is a great resource for when you're a junior or a senior, and it can almost guarantee you an internship position. Volunteering, incorporating volunteering into your schedule and focusing on causes that are meaningful to you shows to colleges that you give back to your community, especially if your volunteer work shows consistent involvement and impact over time. I volunteered with Red Cross, Youth, Make-A-Wish, GATS, and I was a volunteer at a senior living facility. And finally, just for fun clubs, I would highly recommend that you participate in a couple of clubs or activities outside of school that you genuinely enjoy. These activities can be refreshing and help you maintain a healthy balance, but it's really important to ensure that they complement rather than detract from your more strategic activities like internships or jobs. And that for me was Carnatic music. And Carnatic music was also a way for me to show continuity because it's been something that I've been pursuing from a very young age. And one more thing I want to highlight with outside extracurriculars and in clubs at school is that a lot of people make the mistake of putting themselves into a box and think all of their extracurriculars have to be related to their major. So an example of this is, say, I'm a computer science major, so all of my extracurriculars are going to be, I'm going to do computer science club, I'm going to tutor computer science, I'm going to do this related to computer science and that related to computer science. Even if you're focused on a certain major, not all of your activities need to be related to that major. It's a great look to pursue a unique passion, even if it's not directly related to your major. So in researching for this presentation, as I mentioned, I talked to multiple students who have done really, really well across a variety of majors. And one of these individuals has been awarded $1.2 million in scholarships from universities around the nation. And her biggest tip was to start studying for the PSAT in your sophomore year. Even being named as a national merit finalist or can earn you full ride scholarship opportunities from universities around the nation. There was a super insightful presentation on this yesterday. So if you're looking for more details on the PSAT or National Merit, I would highly recommend you go back and check that out. Even if you're a freshman, I would highly recommend that you start studying, even if it's once every other weekend or just trying to get a hang of the format of the PSAT, because this is one of the best things you can do if you're looking for a full ride or even a half ride scholarship opportunity from a university around the nation. You can, yeah, thank you. So one major gap I see for students moving from middle school to high school is that schools don't teach you how to study. So I really want to briefly go over some evidence-based study strategies and what works. So the first thing I want to talk about is the single-handedly I attribute most of my academic success to this technique, and that's active recall. What I used to do in middle school and in the beginning of high school was to study for my test by rewriting notes or rereading notes. And this is an example of passive learning. Instead, after learning a topic or after reviewing a topic, you need to force your brain to actively recall that information. So this can be through flashcards, or it can be through taking a blank sheet of paper and trying to write down everything you remember about that topic, and then going back into your notes and filling out gaps in your knowledge. Or my personal favorite is practice questions. And I really, really recommend if you're struggling in a class like math, science, any kind of STEM related subject, grind through practice problems and force your brain to actively recall that information, because it's been scientifically proven to strengthen your memory pathways. Now, spaced repetition. I know this is something that a lot of high school students are guilty of, is cramming for exams and quizzes on the day before. But research shows that this technique is one of the most effective ways to solidify information in your brain long term. By spacing out your study sessions, you give your brain time to rest and consolidate the information, making it easier to remember later. So take small chunks of material and study them over gradually increasing intervals of time. Finally, let's discuss the Feynman technique. And this is a very, very simple idea. And it's to take a concept that you're trying to learn and pretend you're trying to teach it to somebody else. This forces you to deeply understand the material and be able to simplify it. And so that'll allow you to confront any gaps you have in your knowledge. So this is a slide of resources that have helped me and have helped tons of other students. And I would highly recommend you screenshot this. And most, if not all, of these resources go directly hand in hand with one of the study strategies I was talking about in the previous slide. So I highly, highly recommend all of these resources. Yeah, that's about it from my end.
All right, thank you so much, Tuti, for that amazingly informative presentation. I must say, from being a high school student and now being a college student, I can definitely attest to school never teaches you how to study. That's something I had to figure out by myself. And I only figured it out like senior year of high school, so it wasn't much help anyway. But anyways, those study techniques, very, very useful. And again, those clubs, all right, your extracurricular activities are incredibly important in high school. And you shouldn't, take 20 of those filler clubs just to seem like you've, done more than you really have. Take 3 or 4, as Tuti said, and be really involved in them. Great advice, loved it. Can you show the previous screen again? Yes, I can. So something I forgot to mention when we started this presentation was the Q&A and how that's going to work. So, of course, everybody in this meeting has access to the chat box. What you guys could do is ask a question for anything presented in the meeting thus far, and we will see it. Don't worry, I'm reading all of it, and we'll address it. of course. And if we don't get to your question just yet, it will be addressed in the Q&A session later on. And the questions are first come, first serve. So if you have a question, be sure to get that out. So for now, I'd say we can ask Stuti about 3 to 4 questions before we move on to the next session. So if anyone has a question about anything that's been covered so far, I really encourage you to ask in the chat box right now.
Yeah, you can either ask in the chat box or unmute yourself and ask your question. Okay, looks like wait
right.
for a minute, Harsha.
Quick
Yeah, if
question.
not, we can just proceed.
Sorry, quick question on. I know you mentioned a lot of AP courses and the importance of those AP courses, right, in the beginning. So how does what time in your high school you know that what's going to be your major? Is it like something, or are there any very generic which will take you towards that path, deciding? Like how does that works out?
Yeah, that's a great question. So you're asking about AP classes in relation to somebody's major, like in college, or?
Correct. Yeah, that is correct.
Yeah. So I went to Alliance Academy, which is a pathway-based school. So as soon as I joined high school, I was kind of encouraged to pick a pathway, and I pursued cybersecurity for all 4 years. So personally, that's how I knew I wanted to do computer science. But I also took AP Computer Science Principles and AP Computer Science A in high school. And even if I wasn't a computer science major, those classes really helped me figure out like, oh, I really enjoy coding. So I would highly recommend you go through your class list and try to pick a couple of diverse, I guess AP classes like biology and chemistry, you're gonna need a lab science regardless of your major, if you're going to be something even mildly STEM related in college. So you're going to need those classes anyway. So if you go ahead and take those classes in high school, you can get a feel for if you're interested in lab sciences or the histories like AP US history. But I think the best way to figure out what you're interested in high school is not through classes, but it's through organizations and clubs. There's something called CTSOs, Career Technical Student Organizations, like FBLA and HOSA and DECA. And those organizations do a really great job of immersing students into career pathways like computer science, marketing, business, and they allow students to envision themselves in those pathways. So I highly recommend, if you're unsure about what you want to do for your major, don't rely on, you can explore different interests through classes, but your best bet is going to be organizations. There's tons and tons of organizations and clubs. So if you go to Club Rush, or if you look up your school and list of clubs, then you can have like a diverse list of clubs that can allow you to explore different career paths.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I agree. And I just wanted to add one more thing onto that great explanation. AP classes are lots of times misguided in people's minds. People forget that AP classes have 2 uses. One of them is, of course, boosting your GPA and looking way better on college applications. But another thing, which was its original purpose, was to get college credit. Now, personally, I took about 13 AP courses, and that equates to just about over a year of college done already. So if I really wanted to, I could graduate college in 3 years. And in the grand scheme of things, that is a huge, boost in just time efficiency, lots of money saved. And overall, AP classes, a great way to, honestly get success fast. So my advice is to do as many AP classes as you can handle, all right? Know your limit, please. Do not overwork yourself. That's very important, as Stuti said earlier. But get a feel for what, works best for you. I thought I was going to go into comp sci and computer engineering in college. But after I took AP CSP, which was Computer Science Principles, and CSA, the later version of CSP, I learned that coding was not for me, and which is why I chose electrical engineering as a major. And so really, through courses, you can get a feel for what you like and dislike, but I definitely agree with Stuti here. Go for organizations, go for clubs, because that's where your true passions are going to be unveiled. So thank you, great question. Any other questions, guys?
Hi, I have a question.
Go ahead.
That's for the AP courses regarding that. Like if you do AP courses out of school, like through any community college, Will that be like weighted as the same weightage, like the same AP course done through school?
Stuti, you want to take this?
So I actually didn't enroll any classes in high school, so I'd like to defer this question to somebody that did.
Oh, okay.
All right. I think I do know the answer. So AP courses, no matter where you take them, they are going to be weighted the exact same. However, there are a few limitations, all right? Some schools have realized that people are doing a loophole of taking online APs. This was especially prevalent back in COVID when I was in high school. So what people did, I had a limit of only one AP allowed per year for freshman year, 2 APs for sophomore year, about 5 for junior, and you can take as many as you want senior year, right? But people did a loophole. I went to Lambert High School, just so people know. They did a loophole where they take it online or they dual enroll way earlier than it's recommended, and they take 20 APs online. You can do this, but however, I have heard of new regulations being set in place per school and their agenda that prevents people from basically abusing or exploiting the online AP program. Now, of course, this depends largely from school to school, so I would really recommend reaching out to either people who already attend that school, counselors, or any other staff or faculty member, and making sure that those APs are allowed or they will count. But most of the time, 95% of the time, no matter where you take the AP course, it will be counted. And as for dual enrollment courses, right, that's different from AP. That is not a part of College Board's AP or advanced placement program. Dual enrollment is basically you're just doing a college course at a college virtually or in person as a high schooler. And this counts as a AP course, basically, in terms of GPA weight. So if you want to boost your GPA, if you want to get college courses done earlier, dual enrollment is also a great option.
Thank you. And I have one more question. This is regarding the SAT, ACT prep. What study materials you guys recommend?
I'm sorry to interrupt. Puri, actually, we covered this in yesterday's session, the materials to be, yeah, that's okay. But I mean, we have like 4 presentations today and we are really short of time. So please hold on to your question during Q&A time. If we are able to revisit that and share that information, we'll do, or if not, it's available in the recordings. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for understanding. And Harsha, we have 2 questions from the YouTube live as well. So Stuti or Harsha, please do see if you can answer it short. One is from Kanishka. What would you advise for current juniors? So it's kind of a broad question. I don't know like if it's in terms of like AP courses or anything, but do you want to just take a, stab at it, just a high level, like if it's because it's related to your presentation, Stuti, maybe it's related to AP courses.
So if you have any like kind of more of a specific direction on that question, I'd love to answer it in the chat. But as a junior, I guess it's October, so your classes are pretty set for this year. What I would focus on right now is the SAT. If you haven't completed it already, make sure this is it's not this is the time for you to really be focusing on the SAT and getting the score that you really want. And in addition to that, just clubs, as I mentioned, continuity is really important for clubs. So this is not the time to give up on your clubs at all. Continue to go strong and look for leadership positions that you can take in senior year, because even if you are an officer in a club in senior year, you can still put that on your college application. So that's what my 2 recommendations would be.
Thanks, Suti. The next question is from Arun Nalan. Should we take many AP classes to get in a good college?
I kind of addressed this already. It's very much up to you and your extracurriculars and your outside life. So as I mentioned, I provided the averages at 2 of our in-state colleges for AP classes. It is absolutely extremely important to take AP classes in order to show rigor and that you're able to handle a tough course load in college. But that number, as I mentioned, is very personal to you and your students. So I would go back and look at that slide and read the information and try to come up with that number with you and your student.
Back to you,
and also as a parent, I'm telling you, I called Georgia Tech about the admission process, that the selection criteria is constantly changing, they're evolving. We can't find the pattern. It's not like, unlike India, you have a pattern to get into college. There is no pattern. And now every year the pattern is changing. You can't predict the pattern. I know one of my friends' kid, got like a very low in SAT, and she wrote a essay on Pongal, and she got into Cornell. So no, we don't know. This is all like I looked at the essay, but no, I didn't like the essay, but she got into Cornell. So it's like that. It's constantly changing. So we can't really say, no, this is the silver bullet for everything. No, as a parent, this is as the parent point of view. Okay.
That's true, Eddie. I agree to that. Yeah. Okay. So thank you so much for your feedback. And yeah, with this, Harsha, I think we can move on to the next presenter. So thank you so much, Stuti.
Thanks, Andy.
All right, let's move on. So this is Anudeepthi Senthilkumar, and she is a speaker. All right, just a little overview about her. She's currently a student studying data science, computer science, and statistics at UGA. And right now, she's an undergraduate researcher working in the field of artificial intelligence and data science. So she graduated from Alliance Academy for Innovation in 2023, and last year she was the youngest intern hired in the 2024 class at Unum Group, which is a Fortune 500 healthcare provider. And she was actually able to gain knowledge on data quality, present her findings to senior leaders, and provide a solution to a true business case. So that's really impressive. And of course, she was the youth tutoring advisor for GATS and has contributed over 200 volunteer hours to GATS tutoring, which earned her the Presidential Award of Volunteer Service in 2021. So Anudeepthi is going to be talking about navigating college applications. Now, trust me, it's gonna seem really complicated, especially when you don't know exactly what you're going up against. But this presentation will definitely take some of the load off of your perspective on college apps and hopefully clear some of the things up. And of course, after the presentation, we can clear some questions up. So yeah, let's get right into it. Anudeepthi, you there?
Yes, thank you so much for the amazing introduction, Harsha. And
of course,
thank you to GATS, Kritikanti, everyone here today. Thank you guys for coming out to show your support for us. And we hope that we can take some stress off your backs as well. So with this, my name is Anudeepthi, like Harsha mentioned, and I'm actually studying data science at the University of Georgia. So today my goal is to explain the Common App to you guys and what to do outside of the Common App. So just to give you a little bit of background about myself, I've also been through this process being a sophomore in college, and I know firsthand how stressful and overwhelming it can feel. So I'm here to help you understand the ins and outs of the application process and provide a little bit of guidance so you can approach it very confidently. So as a student at UGA, I have experienced the Common App, and I've also applied to schools outside of the Common App. So I can share you some tips that can help with both approaches. And yeah, I'm ready for the next slide, Harsha. By the end of this presentation, you'll have a clear understanding of how to use the Common App and what to do when applying to colleges that do not use it. You'll also learn how to gather the necessary materials, stay organized, and present yourself in the best light to increase your chances of getting into your dream schools. So let's start with a brief, quick overview of the college application process itself. The first step is to choose the right colleges. This means that you should do your research and find the colleges that align best with your academic and personal goals. So after that, you need to gather materials like your high school transcripts, your standardized test scores, whether it be the SAT or ACT, your personal essays, and your teacher and counselor recommendations. And finally, you'll be able to submit your application and make sure that it meets all the deadlines and follow the submission guidelines for each school that you're applying to. And remember that organization is very key in this process. So please keep track of your deadlines and requirements for each college that you plan on applying to. So let's talk about the Common App a little bit. The Common Application is a centralized online platform that actually allows students to apply to multiple colleges and universities all at one time. So this means that you only need to fill out one set of forms and it can be sent to any of the 900 plus participating institutions. It's a great way to save time and reduce the complexity of the application process itself. The Common App for this school year opens on August 1st, and that's an every year thing. It opens on August 1st every year. So if you're a senior in high school and you're like, oh, I want to start my Common App, August 1st is your date to go ahead and get started on it. And typically by January 1st, you will mostly have all your applications finished and submitted, and possibly even have some of your acceptances and your status in hand by then. So why should you use the Common App? It actually makes the process much more simpler, as I mentioned, because it reduces the number of applications you actually need to complete. It's also integrated with financial aid forms, which helps streamline the process for applying for financial support. Additionally, it allows you to apply to a wide range of schools through one platform, ensuring your consistency across your applications, and that reduces the likelihood of any errors you may make on your application. Overall, I think it's a very efficient and user-friendly system that benefits students and the college universities. So real quick, let's go over the key components of the Common App. So first comes your personal information. This includes information such as your full name, your birthday, and your citizenship status. It's really important that this information is accurate and does match your official records, such as your high school transcripts, standardized test scores, your birth certificate, and all of those documents. Any discrepancies with this could actually delay a processing of your application by the university itself. So real quick, I wanted to show you guys, this is how the Common App looks, and this is the profile section. So this is just a quick screenshot, high-level screenshot of how it looks. There are different sections where you enter in information about yourself, your family, your education, your set scores, activities, writing, and much more. And this is the centralized platform that I was talking about earlier. So any information that you enter in here will be sent to any of the schools that you apply to, and you can add as many colleges as you want that you're applying to as well. So I do want to go over transcripts for you guys. So transcripts are high school coursework documents and grades. So you actually do need to request an official transcript from your high school as early as possible to ensure that they arrive on time. And a little note that I want to make here is colleges typically only look at your end of junior year scores from your freshman year till your junior year, because when you apply to college, you'll be in the middle of your senior year. So unless you apply in the regular decision wave, they're not going to be able to see your scores. But if you apply early decision, early action, or early decision, and you want your acceptance or you want to know your status to your dream college, they actually will not be able to look at your final senior year grades until you're done with the school year. And that's when you have to send them another official transcript. So most of your schools will actually submit your transcripts electronically through systems like Navient or Parchment. This varies upon school, so actually really just depends on what high school that you attend. But make sure that all your grades are reflected accurately on your transcripts, because discrepancies can lead to issues with your application. And actually some students have gotten rejected from a college, due to some discrepancies on their college application. So please be very careful with that. So many schools actually do require you to self-report your courses and grades in the Common App. So this also does really need to match your transcript, and you can actually find an unofficial transcript on your grade portal in high school. And if not, your counselor has access to it and they'll be able to send you a copy over. And colleges, like Siddhi mentioned earlier, are very interested in the rigor of your work. If you've taken any advanced placement or International Baccalaureate, which is IB courses, or have participated in dual enrollment at any time during high school, please make sure to highlight those, because those do demonstrate academic strength and can enhance your application. So in the little picture that we saw earlier, this is how the family, like on the tree where it says education. So this is how the education section looks. And it asks you for your high school, day you entered high school, if this is a boarding school, and it'll ask you just kind of how your high school does grades, things like that. And yeah. So this is the testing section. So this is where it asks you if you've taken any SAT, ACT, AB, IB, any of those scores which are standardized. If you want to send them in, but first you have to self-report these scores before you officially send them in. So it just wants to know if you are going to send some scores in, which I highly do recommend sending in your SAT, ACT scores, even though most schools are becoming test optional now. I highly do recommend sending in those scores, because that can actually showcase you as an individual as well. And AP scores, very important. Any AP scores that you want to use for college credit, please send those in, and you can send those in from the portal that you take your exam, which is College Board. So in addition to your academic performance, colleges really do look at your extracurricular activities, such as clubs and any sports that you're involved in. So on the Common App, you can actually list up to 10 activities. So make sure that you're prioritizing the ones that are the most meaningful to you. Highlight any of the leadership roles that you've had and describe the impact that you've made in those activities. Colleges use this information to evaluate how you'll contribute to their campus community. So this is where the activity section is on the Common App. It's under the main Common App section under where we saw the profile, family, education, all of the above. So here, if you have any activities to report, select yes, and then it'll give you an option to add 10. It'll ask you for how long you've been involved in the organization that you've want to report and all of the information regarding that as well. So the essay portion of your application is arguably one of the most important components. Your personal statement is your chance to tell your stories, share your experiences, and highlight what makes you unique from other applicants. Choose a topic that reflects your values and personal growth, and make sure that your essay is well structured and shows how you've learned from your experiences. Additionally, colleges may require supplemental essays, and these are only for schools. These are school specific and can give you a chance to explain why you're a good fit for that particular institution. And this is a section on the Common App. So you may have heard about the Common App personal essay. This is where you would go ahead and enter that in, and it'll save for all the colleges that you're applying for. Teacher recommendations are a very critical part of your application. You should ask teachers that you know very well and can speak to your strengths, both academically and personally, but also give them plenty of time so they can write a thoughtful letter to your respective institution. In addition to teacher recommendations, a lot of schools do require counselor recommendations, which provides a broader perspective on your academic and personal growth throughout high school. So what do you do when colleges are not on the Common App? So for colleges that don't use the Common App, you actually will need to visit the official college website to find out what their application requirements are. Many schools do have their own application portal, so it's really important to follow the instructions that they provide you on their website. If you have any questions about the application process, don't hesitate to reach out to the admissions office. Each school is very different, so please take the time to research the details to make sure that you're submitting a full, complete, thorough application. So a real quick recap of the Common App process. So you have to make sure you have an essay, all your extracurricular activities, your academic history, and letters of recommendation. And they'll ask you for your family history as well. So your history of your parents and things like that. So make sure all of those are entered in accurately. And I can't stress this enough. Please make sure they are entered in accurately. So before you hit submit, it's really important to do a final review of your entire application. So if you guys have a quick second, I do recommend taking a screenshot of this slide because it tells you what all you need to review before your application is submitted. And the Common App actually allows you to preview your application before submitting it. So take advantage of that feature. And please be mindful that some colleges do have an application fee. So don't forget to confirm that all of that has been submitted successfully. You should get an email to the email you've registered with on Common App once your application and your fees have been submitted. So my personal experience with Common App is I've had a really positive experience with Common App. Most of my colleges that I applied to, I did through the Common App, and it saved me lots of time with its functionality to use that one main piece of your application. And it was really nice that it went to all the colleges that I applied for. And it was really easy to track how much more I have to finish or how much I've done of my application. But one friendly advice that I can give you all that really did help me throughout the college admissions process was creating a spreadsheet with all the colleges I applied to, indicating which colleges I used the Common App to apply for, which ones I didn't, which schools have specific supplemental essays I need to write, if I finished their essay, my application status for each college, and much more. So this technique helped me stay organized throughout the application journey, and I highly do recommend you all to use this as well. And I really do want to thank my mom because she's the one that gave me this idea, and I have used it for a lot of things in my life post-college admissions process. So I highly do recommend that as well, because organization is by far the key thing to succeed in your college application journey. So the college application process can seem really daunting, but I do think that with the right approach, it's definitely manageable. The Common App is definitely a powerful tool that simplifies the process, but it's very important to stay organized and thorough throughout. Whether you're applying through the Common App or directly through the school's application portal, make sure that you present your best self. Thank you guys for listening in, and I really do wish you the best of luck in your respective college journeys.
All right. Thank you, Anudeepthi, for that amazing presentation. That was great. And honestly, I really did resonate with lots of the things that were said. The Common App can seem very, very scary. I remember being a junior in high school and listening to seniors talking about the Common App and not knowing what they are talking about at all, and just hearing that word and being scared and not knowing what to do, or, like, how am I supposed to get there? But really, guys, it's just a form about yourself, and take the time to, digest this information. And once it is time for you to apply to colleges, make sure that you start early, you do it to the best of your ability. And yeah, as Anudeepthi said, like, you guys have the information now. It's great to pounce on it while the day is young, I guess. And yeah, thank you again for Anudeepthi. Again, we're on the Q&A part of the presentation now. We're going to have a very small Q&A at the end of each presentation. We're going to keep it really short, but the main Q&A is at the end, all right? So if anyone has any question at all, Anudeepthi or me, will be very, very happy to answer it. And of course, guys, please do not be scared to ask questions, because not only are you helping yourself, you're also helping other people who might not have the same questions you do. Information is information. It'll always help. So be free to ask any questions in the chat. It is much, much appreciated.
We don't have any questions in chat so far. Selvam, do we have anything in YouTube Live?
Yeah, there is one question from Kanisha. She was asking for college and college apps. She was asking information about cybersecurity organizations. The question is not very clear.
Yeah. So, Kanishka, can you please be more specific with your questions? Because it's kind of broad, open-ended. So if you can please be more specific, it'll help our presenters and moderator to answer it.
If you have any specific questions about cybersecurity, I'd be happy to answer them at the end in our larger Q&A.
I think that's a good idea. We can take it later, I think, yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, if no one has any clear questions, I'd be glad to move on. Speak now or forever hold your peace, guys. All right. Okay. Again, really quick summary. Common App, it's just a form about yourself, about your education, your grades, your activities. And one thing I do want to bring up, I thought about in the middle of the presentation as Anudeepthi was presenting. Remember that the Common App, the activity section, only has 10 slots for activities. And going back to Stuthi's presentation about meaningful activities, there's no point to do 10 or 20 or even more, right? If the maximum is 20 or the max is 10, you're going to want to do less than that and make them meaningful, right? So there's no reason to do 20 clubs where you barely did anything. Make sure that you're making each activity as meaningful as possible. So I just wanted to double down on that, but I think it's time to move on if we don't have any more questions. All right, so next up, we're going to be talking about college essays. And I know that this is a very questioned upon topic in the college applications process. And trust me, it is very, very important. And we're going to have a great speaker join us here and explain everything. So we have Aryaman Unbu, and he's the speaker for the next presentation. Right now, he's a first-year engineering student at Purdue University. He graduated from West Forsyth High School, class of 2024, and he was also involved in FBLA and the school's astronomy and astrophotography club, which he was the founder and president. He was also involved with this Tamil community, graduating from Cumming Tamil School in 2022, and also becoming a co-teacher and a published author. And he was also one of the main photographers for GATS cultural events And through that, he won the Presidential Award for his volunteering efforts. And he was also nominated by GATS to represent Georgia for the FETNA National Tamil Public Speaking Competition, in which he won first place. Very impressive. All right, let's welcome Ariman to the stage to talk about college essays. Ariman, you there?
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
All right.
All right, cool.
All right, we hear you loud and clear. I hope everyone else can say the same.
All right, hopefully.
right.
Thank you so much, Harsha. That was a beautiful introduction. And as you guys can see already, my application seems to be more centric around my culturals, and we'll get into that more as the slides progress. Here's a little about me. Please don't read the whole thing. I'll kind of review it. West Forsyth High School class of 2024, as Harsha said. These are my stats. I'm putting it out there, even though they're kind of mid, just so that you get a perspective on what my application actually is. I took 11 APs throughout high school. I wasn't involved in too much in school, only in FBLA, and I was the school, the astronomy club founder and president. As for extracurriculars, my main one was being a pare artist, which I'll explain in a later slide. I was in a coming summer school, graduate and published author, and a co-teacher volunteer, one of the GATS main youth photographers. And then apart from my cultural side, I did 3 internships, one in data science at SmartSoft, a business solutions IT company, a photography one at Cocoa Town, an appliance manufacturing company, and an electrical mechanical engineering internship at Ivy Robotics, which was a drone manufacturing startup company. Just want to add a detail here, like the broader purpose of the internships. I didn't actually figure out my major until the summer of my junior year. Okay, so I took a whole bunch of AP classes, but I had no idea what I wanted to do, so I was still figuring things out. And through networking, and I think Stuti said something about internship for site. Through that program, I was able to get the Ivy Robotics internship listed on there. And that's how I decided my major to be engineering, more particularly electrical engineering. And apart from this, I was a Taekwondo instructor at the local Taekwondo. I worked a job there after getting a black belt. And I did 2 projects on the side where me and a friend, we built a website for a beverage business for customers to order online during COVID. And I built a digital attendance system where people could scan in physically and it gets stored onto a computer. We use microprocessors to build that. And then as far as honors goes, again, I had the cultural related honors. I also played the piano, which was I was a 4-time winner in a national level. I've achieved up to my 3rd degree black belt in Taekwondo. The AP Scholar Award is given to anyone who just does well on the AP exam, so mostly 4s and 5s. And the U.S. Presidential Award for volunteering, which I got through the GATS photography volunteering role. So you guys have probably heard this both yesterday and today. Thousands of students have very similar applications to you. That is the harsh reality of college applications, whether it is GPA, SAT, even extracurriculars, right? You'll have people that have national level awards, right? And you'll have people with 1,500 SATs, crazy high GPAs. You'll have people with a whole bunch of leadership roles, entrepreneurship, things like that, right? Published author. These are very, very common in today's college applications. So you need to see what sets you apart. And what sets you apart is your essays, right? The main topic today. So when you look at the essays, right, you have to realize that it's more than just a numbers game. It's not, like I said before, everyone is going to have very similar applications, including GPA, SAT, and extracurriculars. So your defining factor is going to be your essays, arguably the most important part and like the turning point of your application. So for most top schools, you're going to be writing at least 2 essays. One is the Common App essay, which Anudipti went over, and supplementals, which are more college specific and major specific. For the Common App, you have 7 prompts. They're standard every year, at least for the last couple of years, they've been the same. So all the prompts I'm going to show you today are going to be the same as well for anyone applying this year and most likely next year as well. The Common App always asks personal life-related questions, and there's an example there down below. And then for the supplementals, depending on the college, you're going to have anywhere from 1 to 7 prompts. For UGA and Georgia Tech, for example, you're going to have one prompt. UGA changes up their one prompt every single year, and it's more of a life-related prompt. And then for Georgia Tech, it's always the same prompt every year. It's only one, and it's about the major and why you want to study at Georgia Tech. It's built into one prompt. And I have examples there below. Why do you want to study your intended major at this college? This is one of the most common prompts that you'll see, and this is the one you'll see on the Georgia Tech application. It can also be really, really vague and personal life-related questions like what brings you joy, which is a question asked by Cornell. Yeah. So for sources, right, for if you're looking for the Common App prompts and stuff, obviously number one place to look at is the Common App website, because the Common App website is where you're going to be submitting basically 99% of your writing. Like I'm excluding the colleges that don't take Common App. And of course, if you just Google search it, you're going to find it. It's always going to be the same exact wording and everything. So there's no like trustworthy source and not trustworthy source. They're all going to be giving you the same exact results. And for supplementals, always look on the college website. So an example there, UGA prompts 2024 to 2025. If you search that up, you will get the UGA certified website that shows you the prompts for that year. And yeah. Okay, so let's get into Common App first. Remember, Common App is all about you and your personal growth. Okay, it should not be tailored to the college, because you're also remember, you're using this Common App essay for basically every single college, right? And you're gonna have a 250 word minimum and a 650 word maximum. I know on this presentation it looks like it's a lot. However, when you put it on paper, you have to realize that it only comes up to about 1 to 1.5 pages. It's really not that much. My first draft for my Common App essay was 1,300 words. It was twice the word limit, the maximum word limit. Second tip is to focus on one meaningful story, event, or idea in your life. So this is kind of building on the fact that it's only a 650 word limit. You only have 650 words. Within that, it's hard to weave in multiple different ideas and develop it into a strong essay. You want to focus on one particular event or idea and develop that until the word limit, basically. And of course, throughout the essay, the goal is to state your personal growth. So reflect on the event idea as many times as you can to understand that this is the event that has changed my life. This is my defining factor. Make sure you're answering that question every time whenever you're writing the Common App essay. And I think Anudeep also touched base over this. Most colleges will take Common App. Some will not. For example, MIT. Any of the UCs, that's like UC Berkeley, UC Irvine, UCLA, UC Santa Barbara, all of the UCs have their own application system, which you'll have to go through the UC portal. And then same thing with Georgetown. They don't take the Common App essay. Instead, they'll have their own format on their college portal. So you're forced to apply through their system. And for deadlines related to that, you'd have to look on their college-specific website as well. So here are the 7 prompts here for the Common App. Don't read all these. You're going to find all of these on Google and Common App because they're the exact same. Today, I'm going to be focusing on prompt 1. Simple reason is because that's the one I answered, so I can actually provide you an example today. So some things to consider while you're writing it, right? Some questions to ask yourself and a format to follow. What about your history and background sets you apart from other applicants? Okay, and call this as an X factor, right? What is your defining factor, not just within college applications, but within your life? What is the defining factor that sets you apart from everyone else? What is different in your life that most other kids wouldn't have gone through or are experiencing, right? And how has that helped you shaped you into the character that you are today, right? How has it changed your ambitions? Things like that. Those are 2 questions that you should always ask yourself. Another important one is, does everyone, regardless of demographic, understand and support my idea? That is really, really important because some ideas you have to understand are not going to be perceived by everyone in the same way. Whether that's whether they're Indian or not, whether they're your friend or not, whether it's a teacher or another student, they're not going to perceive it in the same way. So it's always good to ask for feedback from everyone, regardless of whether they know the actual topic you're writing about or not. And the format to follow for this is challenges, effects, what I did about it, what I learned, what next. I would take a picture of that. That is probably a universal format that you could follow for any of the any of the essays, because these are all things you're going to have to discuss in it, or colleges are expecting you to discuss in it, and this will develop it into a strong essay. So for me, right, diving into my example, my meaningful interest and talent was pare. Pare is a thumber percussion instrument that I've been playing since I was 7. So the reasons for me choosing this is because this was my top extracurricular. I think Anudeep also said that there's 10 extracurriculars, and you get to rank on, which ones you spend the most time on and which one was the most important. So at the top of my Common App extracurriculars list was pare. And I explained exactly what it was. I spend the most of my time was dedicated to that, since again I've been playing that since I was 7 years old. Weekly practices, monthly performances, it's been constantly going. The cultural group dance competition that I referred to on the awards slide in the About Me section, I won a competition in that at the national level. I was published in a Forsyth County News article for this, and that's exactly where the photo is from as well. And again, this is what I strongly believe was my X factor. Everyone there's definitely people that are very well connected to their cultural side, but playing an ancient instrument that is still preserved today, at least to this extent, it's kind of rare. So I thought this was my X factor. So general tips, right? Use your voice when writing. Okay, you have to be authentic. It shouldn't sound ChatGPT generated, or it shouldn't be like baby language, like simple, like a colloquial tone at the same time. And again, if you're like me and you hated ELA and you were bad at it, I completely understand. But the tips that you've gotten from your ELA teachers over the last couple of years are still valid. So anywhere things from like a strong hook and introduction, having relevant information, not too many extraneous information, maintaining a creative writing style, and having clear transitions between your big ideas. These are all still valid advice for the college essays. You're going to be aiming for the perfect blend of casual and formal. Think about having a one-on-one conversation with the admissions officers. They are way more educated, so therefore it shouldn't be in a fully casual tone. It should be in a more formal tone, like you're writing like a really long email to a colleague. But at the same time, it shouldn't be so formal to the point where the point loses its essence. Like they don't understand what you're saying, and it sounds way too overdone, if that makes sense. And of course, the ultimate goal is always to express your growth as a person, regardless of what essay. So that also applies to the Common App. So a couple examples from mine. These are directly copy pasted from the essay that I have submitted. Here's my hook, right? Just want to highlight a few things. In the fluctuating orchestra of my life, right? That's how I started off. Just symbolizing that I had ups and downs in my life regarding academically and personally, right? There's always been one distinct aspect of my identity, the pare. There we go. First question, first sentence, I'm already answering the question, right? It quickly became my voice and emotional vent. Whether I felt triumph or defeat, joy or sorrow, it always emitted a positive aura. Already in this first chunk, right, I have answered the question and explained why I'm writing about this, right? And then as far as creative writing style goes, right, I use something called tricolons, basically 3 phrases of similar length and sometimes similar meaning. So the examples I have there, I tried to decipher every word he said, every beat he played, and every step he made. And then the other example, my cultural arts are not to be confined, but rather proudly carried, carefully nurtured, and selflessly shared with all. On paper, this looks much neater and more authentic to when you read it through, right? Like it's a giant paragraph summarized into 3 phrases. So it looks really nice on paper. So when you incorporate style techniques like that, it would make it look a lot stronger and neater. So pare, right? Let's be honest, basically nobody knows about it in America, right? It's kind of limited to Tamil people only. So it's an abstract topic in that sense. And to some extent, it's also a sensitive topic, which I'll get into. So the question is, how did I approach it? So first step, right, is to define it. Harsha? There we go. Okay.
There we go.
The key can be used for the other chunks that I've taken out, but for this one specifically, I'd give you guys like 10 seconds to read that. This is my second paragraph, technically. 2 sentences, perfectly describes how the pare physically looks like, right? I've described, how it has cowhide stretching across. It's suspended to the side with a single shoulder strap. It's played with 2 different sticks, and you do this while dancing, right? This is summarized in 2 sentences, and the use of the dash makes it look much neater. So now we've described how it physically looks like, but why I'm writing about it, why am I so passionate about it, what effect does it have on me? This question is still to be answered. How I did it, imagery and descriptive language. Again, this is another technique that we've been taught for years in our English classes, right? So I'm not going to read the whole thing here, but words such as thunderous and electricity, right? Completely out of context terms, but it's used in the context of the pare to describe the effect of like when you're playing it, right? So again, that generates a sort of idea in the admissions officer's head as to, if they were actually playing the drum, what would it feel like, right? And then words, right? Diction, word choice, things like gleefully, encouraging, graciously. It maintains a positive tone throughout, which is very, very ideal. It shouldn't be an extremely dark tone, right? And the reason I have the word co-write highlighted, I'll explain in a second. Okay, so for the sensitive aspect of it, right? Pare is a socially oppressed art back in Tamil Nadu in India. And as soon as I say socially oppressed, I know that basically all of you know exactly what system I'm referring to. That is the exact goal that I wrote this paragraph with. Without directly referencing that system, I wanted to explain how it's an oppressed art and how I knew about it and how I grew as a person through that idea, right? So to start off, I said, as I matured. I could have said, as I did more and more pare performances as I grew older, but the effect of the word matured is saying, as I became aware of the situation that is around surrounding the pare, right? I realized that the pare was restricted to one sector of the Indian community. I was puzzled. Art's central purpose is inclusion, another good word choice, to break socioeconomic barriers and foster harmony through its beauty. I believed that change was needed. I took it upon myself to rewrite Pare's narrative instead. Okay, so there we go. That's the reason I highlighted co-write and rewrite in different colors, right? Because these are 2 different paragraphs, but they're also back to back. The one where you see that as I gleefully mirrored his dance, that paragraph is my 3rd paragraph, and there's a transition, and then after that is the as I matured paragraph. So that transition from co-writing the pare's narrative to rewriting the pare's narrative explains my growth as a person through the pare instrument. If hopefully that makes sense to you guys. But yeah. So as I said before, right, the admissions officers are human, right? We all, no one likes it if it's 100% serious. So try to make it more of a lighthearted, positive connotation, positive tone, and discuss growth opportunities always. That should be the end goal of any essay that you write for college apps. So for example, yeah. So this is my entire conclusion paragraph. Again, I'm not going to read the whole thing. You guys can go ahead and read it if you want to. I'm just going to go over the stuff I've highlighted. Constant reminder of my love for my culture, values of dedication and appreciation, overcoming any obstacle with utmost resilience. I have become a torchbearer, which is a really powerful word for saying carrying the tradition forward. Because in the following sentence, I follow up by saying I'm teaching the next generation of pare artists. I play the pare with intense pride. And then there comes the wordplay from the earlier slide, proudly carried, carefully nurtured, and selflessly shared with all. And then the word resolve, basically having goals with a positive intention, right? That's another powerful word. And then the last sentence, I'm determined to fulfill the art's purpose of uplifting humanity and creating harmony. It sounds really like artistic, but because like the words used in it like give off such a positive tone and a positive connotation, it's only being looked at as more of a growth and reflective paragraph, not really a dark, serious matter. So So for a humor element, right? Of course, in my essay, it's kind of difficult to maintain a funny kind of aspect to it throughout that whole entire essay. So I did it in like really, really minute things. For example, here, like this paragraph under the humor idea, basically this is describing my first ever interaction with the budding. So words such as feeling the native connection, a reflex, intuition of some sort, right? And I'm describing my first interaction, how when as soon as I picked it up, I started playing, I started to dance, and the result was the most atrocious beats. I played horribly, right? So things like that, it keeps it more of a lighthearted tone, right? Because this is my first ever interaction. This is the first, like this is proving my innocence towards the pare, and then later on how I grow with the pare. And again, you have the wordplay here. As I began to play, I began to dance. This is a repetition of the ending phrase, right? Things like that make it look much neater on paper. So that pretty much wraps it up for Common App, and we can move on to supplementals. So the supplementals that I'm going to review today, please don't read this entire prompt. This is directly copy pasted from the UGA website. Basically, the prompt summarizes: share a book that helped you transition from middle school to high school or any of the years in between. And this was a more personal life-related kind of essay, and the word limit for this was 350. And for Purdue, it was: how will opportunities at Purdue support your interests both in and out of the classroom? As you can see, this is much more different from the UGA supplemental because this is more college specific, right? And the word limit was even more strict for this. It was 250. So moving on to general tips, the whole purpose of the supplementals for the college is to see your institutional fit, which I think if you search up that term, institutional fit, for any college, you'll find a whole page dedicated to that. And the supplementals is the way they decide, do you actually fit into our environment? Would you actually be a good fit into our student body, right? Of course, they do this on the Common App essay as well, but since the supplementals are specifically college specific, it gives them a better idea of who you are. Would you actually fit into the school? So here's a process that I used for all my supplementals for every college. Step one, identify the big ideas to use for answering the prompt. Basically, just your answers, right? Like if Purdue is asking what opportunities in and out of Purdue will help support your goals or something like that, right? So talk about specific clubs, talk about specific research done by the college, specific goals that align with yours and the colleges, things like that, right? Those are the big ideas that you're going to be using to answer the prompt. The other step is to introduce with anecdotes. Anecdotes are extremely popular. Almost everyone uses that. Either it's childhood experiences or even experiences that you gain through internships. Things like that will play a big role into showing your growth as a person, right? Especially if it's college specific or major specific. Like I did an internship at IVU, for example. So I used that to describe my decision to take electrical engineering, my first exposure to electrical engineering, right? And then align your goals and values with either the college or your life. Depending on whether it's a college specific supplemental or a life related supplemental, you're going to align your goals and values respectively. And then always, again, I'm repeating this a lot because it's really, really important. The main focus is always the growth aspect. So make sure you focus on that. So here's the very first example. This is my entire essay for UGA. I know it's a little bit daunting. We'll get through it. I'll give you guys like a minute or two to just quickly skim through that, and then I'll quickly summarize it.
Just a reminder, as people are skimming through the essay, please be very free to ask any question you'd like in the chat. This is a very important topic, and Ariman is, explaining things beautifully right now. So we would be very glad to answer those questions at the end of the presentation and at the end of the session. So again, guys, ask those questions. Very, very useful.
Okay, I'll go ahead and get started with my summarization. And again, I have a key for you guys right here, highlighting the diction, word choice, right? Wordplay, the English style, and the big ideas I use to answer the prompt. So let's start off with the big ideas, right? What did the prompt ask? Share a book that helped you transition from your middle school to high school life or any of the years in between. I picked my 10th grade to 11th grade transition. And in that time, I read a book called Hit Refresh, which was an autobiography by done by Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella. There we go. That is my big idea. That is the answer to this prompt. And I'm going to be building around that. So as you can see, right, the very first paragraph, Marsha, yeah, is the anecdote, right? I remember breezing through middle school academics. There we go. Already there's one experience right off the bat. And, you know, I referred to the pandemic, not referring it to way too much, just summarizing it in a couple words, and then explaining how 9th grade was fully online. And my true first year of high school was sophomore year. This is all part of the anecdote, right? And then the next part, aligning values, right? These are the learnings and the teachings that I got from the book that I'm aligning with my life. This is a life-related question, and I'm aligning it with what I feel. What are my values in life, right? So this is that paragraph where I reflect on that, and then as always, the ending. Ended it off with a positive note and discussing growth, right? There we go. Like on the last paragraph, like Satya's strong commitment to hitting refresh, I became more eager to embrace change and relentlessly pursue personal growth through life's teachings. I quite literally answered exactly what it was asking, right? Ended off with a quote, a positive quote as well. So overall, pretty sound essay that answers the prompt, and you know, with a touch of creativity in there as well. Because if you look at the wordplay, right, for example, freshman fear of a new atmosphere, a rhyming scheme done there, and then ascending the ladder, refreshing my path to success. These are all you know, different ways of expressing an idea, but it sounds more creative on paper. And again, the art of life is not always meant to be the way I painted. Again, that's a metaphor. So it's those are things that you can implement into your essay that will make it look a lot more creative, right? And again, guys, I'm not a really good essay writer. This took me like a month or two to actually perfect, and I had to work on this every single day. Other than this, like I'd be a pretty bad essay writer. So anything and everything will take time. Just keep that in mind as you're looking through my presentation. Okay, so a little bit of an audience interaction here because I know it's pretty, it's a little boring so far. So I have my why Purdue essay, just a recollection of the prompt, what opportunities in and out of Purdue best support your interests and goals, things like that, right? So let's start off with just tell me, you know, which paragraph refers to my anecdote, which paragraph refers to the aligning of values, and then which paragraph refers to discussing growth opportunity. So I'll give you guys a couple seconds to just enter that into the chat.
Just saying, if you guys get it right, you'll get a prize at the end. Come on, let's go.
These people might take time to read.
Okay, let me repeat the question. So basically in the last slide, we talked about having an anecdote, aligning values, and then discussing opportunities for growth, right? I'm just telling you to separate this essay into the same format. No pressure on you getting it wrong. It's not the SAT, right? And I'll give you the answers in a minute.
So Ariman, can you kind of recap again, like what are the different sections?
Sure. Okay, so anecdotes, right? Personal experiences. Where am I talking about my personal? There we go. One person has the right answer. Everyone just follow. So first paragraph has the anecdote, right? My personal experience. Why am I choosing this major? Why am I going to Purdue? Right? Things like that. And then the aligning values. Basically, what values do I have in my life? How does it align with Purdue? How does it align with the prompt? What is it asking? Things like that, right? Basically, you're making yourself. You're writing why you fit into the college, right? Why do you fit into the college? Why do you fit into the major? That's basically what the aligned values part is. And then the last section was discussing opportunities for growth. Okay, cool. Okay, good answers. Yep. So, Harsha, we can yeah. So the first part is the anecdote, second part is the aligning values, and the last part is the discussing growth part. The reason I have the entire chunk of the second and third paragraph as the aligning values is because you can see, like, I talk about different world issues, and then at the end I talk about how these turn into initiatives I can pursue to justify the purpose of my engineering education, to advance society through innovation. All of these are values, right, that I value in my life and something I'd be valuing through the engineering education provided to me at Purdue. And yeah, and sorry, one more thing I'm gonna bother you guys with is just tell me the diction, wordplay, and big ideas used in this. So how you're gonna do it is diction, word choice is gonna be green. So just type green and then dash whatever words stand out to you. Let's start off with that first. Just type in green, dash whatever words stand out to you.
Sorry, Herman, I missed did you kind of remind them again the three categories? Diction and wordplay, I believe, is the other one.
Yeah, I'll get to that. I just wanted to slow it down and first
Okay.
focus on diction.
Okay.
So yeah, just if you're when we're saying diction, just type in the color green dash whatever words stand out to you, right? Okay. Overall, great answers. Yep. Cherished, vibrancy, invaluable, envision, impacting, diverse and intellectual. Yep. These are all words that I have used on purpose. Yep, vibrance, right? Exactly. Aspire. Yep. All right. Sounds like everyone's gotten the same idea regarding diction. So we'll move on to the next one. Wordplay. What style do you see that makes it look unique? I'll give you a hint. It's in the second paragraph. It's probably the most straightforward one. Just for that one, put blue and then dash second paragraph, right? Or third paragraph, wherever you see it. Just to make sure that you guys are understanding what I'm saying, right? Like things like wordplay, style, they make sense to me, but just want to make sure that you guys are getting the same essence of what I'm conveying. Okay, so some of you guys have the right idea, and then some of you guys need some clarification on that, and that's completely all right. I know this is kind of a lot to read, so it's a little annoying as well. I can completely understand that. So let me just give you guys the answers for this, or what I felt was the answers for this. Okay, so the ones highlighted in green were, the strong diction choices, stronger foundation, vision, invaluable, impacting, eradicate, effectively managing, leveraging, real world initiatives. Again, you guys said vibrance. That's a term that I had to actually Google search and understand what it meant, and I purposely chose that to be in my essay. And again, diverse intellectual and cultural setting, collaboration, like-minded. And someone said Boilermakers. Boilermakers is their mascot, their team name. Purdue's team name and mascot. So that would make sense because Purdue knows, they know exactly what I'm talking about when I say I want to join a community of Boilermakers. That's what they call their students. And then as far as the blue part, right, the word style, the wordplay and creative style, you can see there's 3 sentences in the second paragraph that repeat with the same exact starting, right? I envision a robotic assistant. I envision autonomous cleaning systems. I envision more cutting edge solar technology. This is the kind of wordplay I'm talking about, because when you're reading this, you will notice, like, while you're reading, that you've repeated the word I envision so many times, right? These are the things that will stick into the admissions officers' heads. These are the things that will make it look so much neater and will make it stand out. So that's what I wanted to point out. And then at the end, fine blend of technology and the arts. Again, another kind of wordplay, an out of context idea, but we're bringing it into this Purdue context, right? And then as far as the ones that are highlighted in yellow, the prompt was asking what opportunities, right? Already I'm looking at Purdue's Amateur Radio Club, Purdue's Vertically Integrated Projects Program, the Indian Classical Music Association. These are the answers to that prompt. These are the big ideas that I built my entire essay around. They're stated clearly from beginning, middle, and end, but at the same time, there's given context for every single big idea I've built around it. So yeah, that's pretty much it for supplementals. So here's a checklist, just to make sure you have everything down. Of course, for any college, right, research it. Whether that's their research, like done by the college, research done by a professor, specific clubs and activities that are carried out throughout the year by the college, and anything student-led, right? When you research the college, these are the types of things that you should be looking for. Whatever catches your eye, jot that down, try to weave it into your essay. Okay, that is one of the main things that you can do for supplementals, especially since most of them are more college specific. And a question that you should also be asking yourself is, how do your goals align with the college? Since it's college tailored, this is also pretty self-explanatory. And remember, your Common App essay is the biggest one versus your supplementals, which are usually from 200 to 300 words. Some of them will have their own form of the Common App essay where they'll have like a 500-word essay, but that's extremely rare. For example, I know University of Wisconsin-Madison, they have their own kind of Common App essay, which is 500 words. It's only one supplemental, but it's 500 words. But the vast majority of supplementals you're going to be writing are a much, much more concise format. So you're going to be anywhere from 200 to 300 words about, right? So again, concise with clarity, that is key. And offer a fresh perspective every single time, right? Avoid repetition from a Common App and other supplemental essays of the same college. Now, if you guys remember from the previous slide, on the Purdue essay, I talked about the Amateur Radio Club. Amateur Radio Club. I won't get into the specifics of that for now, but for another Purdue prompt where it was asking, why am I choosing electrical engineering? I discussed how my dad is involved with amateur radio and how that has influenced my journey with electrical engineering. Why did I develop an interest in electrical engineering? And what I'm telling you right now, none of that I put on the essay in the last slide. So that is offering a fresh perspective. That would be okay, because even though it's repeating an idea, right? Because I'm still repeating the amateur radio concept, it is still offering a fresh perspective. So in terms of that, that would be completely fine. But for the most part, try to make it refreshing, right? They don't want to read the same thing every single time. And of course, be as specific as possible. The college knows that they're a top college. That is not something you should be stating at all. They know they have state-of-the-art facilities and they have extremely good, like a good ranking program. They know all of these things. They want to know, how are you going to use it to your advantage, right? Again, we're referring back to how do your goals align with the college? You need to explain, what are you hoping to achieve? What specifically are you using to in like hopes to achieve these goals, right? So yeah, that's pretty much it for supplementals. Okay, so let's say that you've submitted your Common App and your supplementals, right? And absolute worst case, you get into the deferral and waitlist position. Unfortunately, this happened to me for Georgia Tech. So I have experience writing essays during both the deferral time and the waitlist period. So, of course, it is unlucky, right? But I have a couple of steps that you can take to better your chances. I'm pretty confident these steps worked because, from the deferral, I wasn't immediately rejected. I was put onto the wait list. So there is something I was doing right. So please allow me to share these steps with you. Refer to the supplemental formula in the past slide. Remember the steps 1, 2, 3, and 4, the big ideas, having the anecdotes, aligning values, and discussing growth. Remember that formula for supplementals. And as far as deferral goes, you're going to get your decision back for most colleges if you're getting deferred, right? Typically, you're going to be applying as an early applicant. Okay, and I'm pretty sure the difference between early action and regular decision, these were already discussed. So since they were already discussed, I'll just quickly discuss what exactly deferral is. So basically, the college needs to review your application again with a larger pool. So whoever applied during regular decision, now your application is going into their pool. And this is your second chance to prove yourself using your first semester grades of senior year. So remember that don't catch senioritis, basically the laziness of senior year is what they call it. Don't slack off too much senior year because you never know what would happen in the college applications process. You could get deferred and you might be required to send in your first semester transcript of 12th grade. So sometimes, right, depending on the college, you might be able to write another essay. I know for Georgia Tech, you did, and here's how I approached it. They expected updates on extracurriculars. So between the time of your application submission until the time of your deferral notice, what updates have there been to your extracurriculars? Those are things you can think about and put onto your application. And then any information that you left out of your original application, you can also include that. But remember, the word limit for this is even worse. It's 150 words. Basically a paragraph. It's really, 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 really small. So the way I approached it is I did it in a bullet point format instead of putting it as a whole essay. I approached it in a bullet point format. That is a style that's open for you guys as well. I don't know many people who have done that, but I thought about it as, since it's a 150 word limit, it wouldn't make sense writing a chunky paragraph. It would make sense to put in bullet points and have it neatly organized. That's the way I approached the deferral essay. Moving on to the waitlist. For the waitlist essay, typically your waitlist notice comes along with the people who were in the regular applicant pool. So this basically means that the college wants to offer you admission, but they don't have enough space. And the final decision, the final call is made on after they have calculated how much capacity they have after the deposit deadline. The deposit deadline is basically where people who have been accepted, they pay their deposit saying, okay, this is where I'm going to be going for the fall of this year. Okay. And during the waitlist time, some colleges will let you on their portal submit a letter of continued interest. I know Georgia Tech did. Some colleges will not. That is, it's not something that we can really do. We can't really do anything about that. They don't have it as an option on their portal, but that is something that you should take seriously. And people who have written a letter of continued interest statistically have better chances of getting accepted. So if they don't have it directly referenced on their application portal, you're going to be putting it into their, you're going to be emailing the letter of continued interest to them. So on the letter of continued interest, reaffirm your interest in the college. That is step number 1. You have to say, this is where I want to be. This is why I want to be there. This is what I'm going to be doing once I get there, right? Basically another supplemental, okay? And you're going to include any relevant updates, very similar format to the deferral. This isn't really going to be a bullet point format because remember, it's a letter, okay? This isn't exactly an essay. You're not going to have an introduction, middle, and end. This is going to be like a formal email to a colleague. Another example I used before, it's a letter. So make sure your style is in a letter format. And the main difference between these is you're going to be expressing gratitude before and after the main content for both the deferral essay and your waitlist essay. Like saying, thanks for keeping my application alive in the process for this long. Thanks for giving me a second opportunity to prove myself. Things like this, you're going to be saying these in the deferral and waitlist essay. You're not going to be saying it in the supplementals. So that is the major difference that you guys should note down. And I'm not going to give any examples for the deferral waitlist essays just because it's a worst case scenario. So we'll figure it out. You'll figure it out once you get there. So moving on. Resources and tools that I used. Some of them might seem laughable, but I'm 100% sure these are like ones I used over and over again for my college applications. ChatGPT. Of course, do not be brain dead and do not copy and paste from ChatGPT. Anyone is going to figure that out. It's really easy nowadays. So take inspiration from it. Okay. So for example, like in my Common App essay, I use words like torchbearer. That was not something I initially thought about. That was a suggestion given to me by ChatGPT, and I incorporated that when I was talking about teaching the next generation of pare artists, right? So it's an amazing tool for brainstorming things, being creative overall. If you want to reword something to make it shorter or longer or more casual or more formal, ChatGPT gets the job done. Another source I used was thesaurus.com and WordHippo. Basically, they do the same exact thing, but they find similar words for any kind of tone that you're looking for. So you enter in a word and they give you a list of different words that mean essentially the same thing, but can be used in your context. Reddit, for those of you who don't know for any reason, it's another social media page where they discuss basically anything and everything. And there's a subreddit, there's a specific page on it called Applying to College. And remember, everyone on here is in the same boat as you, or they have gone through this phase before. So you can get some really solid advice and read through some other people's college applications on this subreddit. I've used it a lot during my college applications journey, so I highly recommend you use that as well. And finally, Grammarly. Grammarly, I still use today, even in college. It is an amazing tool for anything that you're writing. Mostly because of the fact that it takes the tone that you're aiming for, it takes that into consideration when giving you suggestions. So whether it's a formal tone, a casual tone, or like a more like a knowledgeable, educated tone, right? Grammarly will take that into consideration and give you suggestions based on that. It makes the text look a lot more neater and advanced. And the final resource, everyone, right? Referring back to what I said earlier, everyone, regardless of demographic, right, should agree with your idea. They should be understanding your idea, what you're trying to get at, and they should agree with you on the points that you have written down. So always proofread with everyone. So recap and final feedback. For the first point, right, start early if you wish to submit your best work. Again, this is something I said before. Your best work is not going to be coming in the last 2 days before the college application deadline. It's not like our English classes where we can, just rush through it at the last minute because it's based on quantity, not quality. This is the complete opposite because admissions officers, the average time they spend on each application is 15 minutes. That means they're going to be skimming through your academic scores and your extracurriculars and all that within the span of like 5 minutes. The rest of the time is given to specifically your essays. So keep that in mind when you're writing. You want to make sure this is the best quality work given from your end. So the next point is being yourself, right? Like I said, be authentic, okay? The reason, okay, I'll say this again, like my Common App essay was not directly like how I'm talking to you right now. I would not be conveying the pare in that kind of a sense, okay? But I'm so passionate about it that when I write it on paper, becomes like a much deeper of a concept. The language I use and like the kind of writing tone that I use, it automatically becomes a more passionate subject. Therefore, it's still considered as genuine work. Genuine work creates the best work. That is a point to remember. Next point, stick to one meaningful idea. Again, I said this before. Within the given word limits for any essay, it's hard to weave in multiple ideas. Can you make it work? Yes, 100%. However, for the vast majority of people and the vast majority of college essays, in their context, it simply will not be as strong as an essay that's developed on only one meaningful idea. So try to stick to one meaningful idea as much as possible. Constantly reflect throughout the process. Remember answering these questions of why is it my defining factor? Why is this, unique to me? Why would an admissions officer look at my essay, read it, and then read like 5 more, but still remember my essay, right? Those are things that you need to be constantly answering throughout the process, regardless of what kind of essay you're writing. The end goal, like I said before, I'm repeating this over and over again because this is very, very important. The end goal is always to focus on the growth aspect of any idea you choose, whether that is Common App or the supplementals. Always discuss it in a positive tone. Where can I take this from here? And the next point, have a one-on-one casual discussion, but formally written, pretty self-explanatory, right? It's a more educated individual that you're talking to, so keep it in that kind of a format. Get feedback from people of all demographics. Again, I said this earlier. It is really important, especially for a concept like pare, the one I wrote about. No one here is going to actually know what this is, right? And when I talk about the social oppression that's against it, nobody's going to understand what this actually means. So you need to check with a whole bunch of people. For example, I reached out to a couple of my moms and dads, their American colleagues, and I proofread my essay with them. That is a great source. That's a great source to start off with. Review it with your ELA teachers, whether you like the class or not. They are people who are very knowledgeable in this matter, so review it with them. And proofread to ensure 0 grammatical and spelling mistakes. That is very important. Think about going to a job interview and handing in your resume and there's a couple typos on there. It's an immediate turn off. So make sure you have no grammatical and spelling mistakes. That's critical. And the last point, it's just another phase of life. You're going to get through it, right? Everyone on this panel today and yesterday, last year, every year, everyone has gone through this process, right? It's just as important as any other phase in your life. One life, take it easy, make it easy, okay? So yeah, and that pretty much brings me to the conclusion of this presentation. I apologize, this was a lot of content and it was extremely long, but hopefully you got something out of it. So thank you and best of luck, and I can take a couple questions now.
All right, that was amazing. Could not have said it better myself. Don't think anyone else could have said it better. Thank you, Ariman, for that amazing presentation on college essays. That was great. Just wanted to reiterate a few points that some people brought up. So as Ariman explained earlier in his presentation, this is all on Common App, right? And the Common App is simply just a common application. I mean, it's in the name. And what you do is you put your essays on one application and that gets sent out to every single college or most colleges that you apply to. Now, some colleges are not on the Common App, in which you have to go to their own website and apply through there. But most, like 95% of colleges that everyone applies to, it's on the Common App. And again, you have one common essay, which goes to everything, and each college has 1 to 2 supplemental essays, which is tailored for their own, college questions, I guess. So yeah, I mean, the essay, why it's important, Ariman already said it, but again, I want to reiterate, it's you. The essay is basically who you are. And when a college admissions officer sees your application, I mean, they see your name, they see that, okay, he or she has done good in school, but the essay is what breaks that paper ceiling of sorts. Now, the paper ceiling, if you have identical, resumes to someone else, they don't know the difference of who you are, what you stand for, your values, and everything else. That essay is what breaks that paper ceiling and really shows who you are to those college admissions officers. It's incredibly important. Now, I did get a few comments about the content of the essay, and Stuti from earlier mentioned that, lots of people, for their Common App essay, they say that, they want it to be something sad about their life, or like lots of people trauma dump on their essay, and it does not have to be a sob story, guys. And it used to be a huge trend in college admissions back like 10, 15 years ago of just being, the saddest person on earth, or like talking about some kind of, really bad thing that happened to you, and just basically, for lack of a better word, guilt tripping the admissions officer. Now, of course, if you had a very traumatic moment in your life and that redefined who you are, make sure to incorporate the growth from that event and how it shaped the person you are today. And that's really important. If it's just a sad story, people are going to see through it. And of course, it was different back then, but people are changing now. Almost everyone's going to college nowadays. So these admissions officers are changing their ways of, evaluating your applications. Another thing is vocab and, how you use your words. Your diction, your wordplay, as Ariman mentioned, it needs to be very specific. It needs to have content, all right? You can't just go through a thesaurus and look through the best or most advanced words and just dump them all into your essay. Make sure the content is there, all right? If you're just going to be using filler words or very advanced words for no reason without content, the admissions officers are going to see through that. That's a very important point to remember. You have to make sure that the content, the actual, meat of the essay and who you are is there. And I mean, that's about it. Again, supplementals. Remember, lots of people didn't understand supplementals when I was going through the college admissions it's just a personalized essay for that specific college. So make sure that those essays are very tailored towards that college that you're applying to. For example, for my tech application, I talked about the specific colleges at tech. I talked about how I went to tech and I loved the dining halls. I loved the dorms. I loved the Scheller College of Business. Name drop that, those details into your essay, and people are going to like it way more than just, yeah, I want to go to tech because they have a good engineering program or whatnot. I mean, that's about it. And again, take your time. Spend months on it. Honestly, if you're a junior right now, start working on those essays right now. And as time goes on, it's going to get refined and it's going to be perfect by the end, or very close to perfect by the time, you apply to those colleges. So again, thank you for Ariman for beautifully explaining everything about essays. And again, very, very important. Make sure you hop on that now. And yeah, that's about it. So let me just go through the chat and see if there's any questions.
For that, I just want to emphasize one of the points that Harsha said. The Common App essay, right? I started that, I think, the end of June of 2023, and I worked on that until October 16th, which was the first deadline for my college. I worked on it until 11 p.m. on that college day. So, like, that's the reiterative process that we're talking about. It takes time to consistently improve the essay, refine it until it's near perfection. So yeah, of course, make sure you get started on those very, very early.
Yeah, completely agree. Again, guys, questions. We would love some questions. Anything helps, other people that would like to have those questions answered. But again, we are somewhat crunched for time. So if it's okay with everyone else, I'd like to move on. Is everyone okay with that? Any questions?
Right. I don't think we have any questions so far. It's more of appreciation for Ariman's presentation and others.
Yeah, again, thank you for the feedback, everybody. We all appreciate it. And remember the feedback form. Please complete that. We would appreciate a lot. But yeah, let's move on. So our next speaker, who is going to be talking about PVSA. It's a great opportunity for high school, college applicants and middle school students right now who wish to bolster your application or honestly just do some good work. Mrs. Krithika Bharti is going to be presenting about PVSA. So Mrs. Krithika is actually a Tamil education and youth-related activities, coordinator, director. She does a lot for GATS. And again, she's done a lot. Basically, she does Tamil education and youth-related activities in the Tamil Sangam, Tamil schools, other URGs like WIT, which is Women in Technology, OWNIT, which is Outstanding Women Networking, Inspiring and Taking Charge. And by profession, she's a software engineer who's currently pursuing an MBA degree. She's a recipient of the FETNA's Women Achievers Award in 2024, and she successfully mentored 35 students so far to receive the U.S. Presidential Award for volunteering. She's the founder and coordinator of the GATS tutoring program, which is currently running for the past 6 years and has a student base of over 250 students who have collectively worked for more than 5,000 hours through this organization. She's also the founder and coordinator of the GATS SAT program, which has been running for 3 years, and the founder and coordinator of the GATS internship program, where approximately 50 plus students were placed in various internship opportunities around the greater Atlanta area. She's also the coordinator of the GATS summer camp program for almost 200 students in 2023, and the coordinator of several youth-related information sessions for school and college-going students over the last 5 years. And lastly, she's in the GATS board of directors from 2024 to 2026. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce and welcome Mrs. Krithika Bharti to explain the following slides.
Thank you so much, Harsha. So in the interest of time, I'll quickly start with the presentation so we can move on to the next slide. Yeah, before we go into what a PVSA is, I just want to showcase what are all the various opportunities available in GATS for our students to volunteer. This way, they can accumulate volunteer hours to be eligible for the PVSA, which is the Presidential Volunteer Service Award. Okay, so there are three major branches in Youth Committee. One is the general volunteering, where it's all related to volunteering in cultural events, charity, sports, and summer boot camp. This is strictly for member-only volunteer opportunities. So if you're a GATS member, you can avail this. And if you have any questions regarding that, you can please email to the youth committee email address that you see there. And the contact for that is Mr. Selvam Swaminathan. He's the GATS Youth Committee liaison, and he'll be able to answer any questions. And moving on to the education part, I'm very proud to say that I have been the founder for many of these youth-related education programs. And I would like to draw your attention to the GATS tutoring program specifically. So this is a program open to all students, irrespective of the membership status. So students across North America can attend this. So high schoolers are the students who are teaching students K through 12. So if you're a mentor, you gain volunteer hours for it that you can use to apply for the PVSA. And if you have younger kids who are not yet in high school, you can get help for their education needs, project help, and test prep, and so on. So we've also been having this GATS SAT coaching that's been running for 3 years now. This year, we still haven't found a perfect mentor yet. That's why there has been a delay, but very soon we'll get back on track and restarting our SAT coaching. And GATS internship is another opportunity that is specifically available for our GATS members. So there are certain criteria for that, because there are a limited amount of internship opportunities, but there are a lot more kids. So we give first priority to the students who have worked in our youth committee, plus who are members of GATS. And then we have the video library. If you check out our GATS YouTube channel, you'll see that the AP subjects are broken down into 10-minute videos per chapter. So this will come really handy when you go for a test prep or finals. And finally, it's the GATS and PVSA, which is what I'll be covering today. So you can email us at tutoring@gatamarsangam.org if you have any questions regarding that. And finally, the last branch in the youth committee is our cultural branch. We have the GATS youth dance and the youth band there. So students who are good in dance or band can volunteer to teach other students and coordinate events. So we have a lot of cultural events every year in GATS, so they can work throughout the year and accumulate hours. And if you need to get in touch with that committee lead, it is Mr. Ganesan Natrajan, and the emails are listed there. So please make note of this and you can reach out to them. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Thank you. So if you're wondering what is PVSA, as I previously mentioned, it's the US Presidential Volunteer Service Award. Okay, it is, I mean, you can read the text there, but I'll just be brief. So this is an award to recognize individuals who have made a very positive impact on the community by helping others. So many of our students here in GATS have worked serving our community, and their aim was not specifically for the award. This award has been there only for 4 years now. But there are so many students who have worked a lot more who were not able to get this award. So at this point of time, I just want to say thanks to all of them. And you might wonder, what is the benefit of having this award? So if you see, like when you go to college, unlike like colleges in India, like where academic is what the college counselors look at mostly. Here, they look at a well-rounded student. It's not just your GPA that plays a role. So the college counselors will be looking at, the admitting officers will be looking at how well has the student contributed to the community, how well they have taken the rigorous courses, and where all they have done leadership roles. So everything comes in play. So this volunteering is one part of it that will add to your college application. So it is definitely very beneficial to have this award. Next slide, please. Okay, so not all organizations are certifying organizations for the PVSA. So GATS is an organization, and we are very proud to say that this is our 4th year that we are sending students for receiving this award. And as you can see, in 2021, 10 students received this award, and in 2022, 5, and in 2023, 12 of them received the award. And we apply for this award only to our only for our high school students, particularly from age 15 to 25. So most students right now, if you see, like, as it's easier to get hours in the 15-year age range, so they are doing that and getting the award. But my request to them is, once you receive the award, please do not vanish away. Continue to come and work with us. So as you can see, like students like Ariman, Harsha, Anuditi, they're all like, students who have been volunteering with us for very long, and they have won the presidential award, but still they continue to volunteer. So please do make sure you continue to do that service. And this information is available on the PVSA website as well. So you can look at the information there as to how many hours are needed as per your age group. Okay, next slide. Okay, so a PVSA award, what you get for that is generally you get a customized certificate and a congratulatory letter from the president himself, and you get to get a choice of pin, coin, or medallion. And if you're a GATS member, we already cover the certificate and the medallion for you, but you have the option to get a pin or a coin in addition, or anything else more than that. Like, as a combination also you can get. It's just that you need to pay extra for that. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so this is a key slide that I would like to draw your attention. So for 15 years, right, if you're age 15 when you're applying for this award, a few things that you have to keep in mind. The general requirements are the same for all age categories. You need to have a family or lifetime membership through GATS, and you must be a US citizen or a green card holder, and you must meet the hours requirements. When I talk about the hours requirements, for age 15, like whatever is the hours that they have mentioned for you, right, in the PVSA website, for example, 50 hours is what you need to get the bronze award. So you can get that. But we give you additional room while applying for this award. And the way we do that is 5 hours you can bring it from outside organizations. For example, if you're working in a library or any other non-profit organizations, you can bring 5 hours from there, and another 5 hours from GATS affiliated Tamil schools. So many students here will be volunteering in GATS affiliated Tamil schools. So you can bring 5 hours from there. And as for the 16 years category, 10 hours can be from the outside organization, and 10 hours can be from the GATS affiliated schools. And if you're wondering what are the GATS affiliated schools, that comes in the next slide. Okay, so I'm not going to read through all the names, but here are the list of schools that are affiliated with us. So if you're a volunteer in one of these schools, please make sure to get a letter from them that you have worked for this many hours when you apply for this award. And we'll need to verify it from our side, and then you'll be able to accumulate those hours. Okay, next slide. Okay, so these are some frequently asked questions, so I'll quickly go over them. So many students ask, like, okay, this year I have like 50 hours. Can I accumulate it and apply for the award next year? I'm sorry, unfortunately, that is not possible. The hours are only for one calendar year. Next, how many times does GATS apply for this award in a year? To answer that, we do it twice in a year, once in October and once in December. The October ones, generally we reserve it for the seniors because they are applying it for colleges. However, if you feel that you've reached the required hours and if you want to apply early, you can go ahead and utilize that opportunity in October. Okay. And then does GATS recognize students who have accumulated hours but are not having a US citizen or green card, or they're not a green card holder? So I'm so sorry, at right now we do not have any other forms of recognition, but we do have the GATS volunteer appreciation event where we recognize those students. Okay. And next, many students, we offer internship opportunities, and they might ask like, okay, I've done internship. Can those hours be counted towards volunteering? Actually, we cannot do that because internship is where you are gaining information from others. So that cannot be counted towards volunteering hours. Next slide. Okay. So in case you're wondering where to look for your hours, if you're in the GATS committees, if you're in the tutoring group, you can see the attendance tracking sheet in the description of the WhatsApp group. You can check your hours there. But for the other general volunteering or youth dance or band, you always get certificates at the end of each program. So make sure you have all those certificates to produce them at the time of verification. And yeah, I think I covered both 5 and 6 together. And how do I provide my proof of hours to apply for the award? Yes, so I would recommend that you have a Google Doc sheet and record all your hours. And also you need to have, like if it's from external organizations or other schools, you need to have something in a proper, letter pad with your logo or something. Or if it's from email, it's an email, it needs to be a proper domain. It cannot be like just from a random person at gmail.com. So we would not be able to accept those kind of proofs. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay, so just wanted to show you that these are some of our students from 2021 and 2022. Yeah, very proud to showcase them all. Next slide, please. And this is the batch from 2023. Next slide. And these are some of the testimonials from the students. You can read through them. But while you're reading through that, do we have any students who have received a PVSA through GATS in the past? And if you're available to share a few words, can you unmute yourself and talk? Basically, just share your experience so that it'll be inspiring for other students.
Hi, Auntie.
Hey, Pratna. Can you turn on your camera? We would like to see you. Yeah, thank you.
Hello. Hello, my name is Pratna, and I got the Presidential Award in 2023. And I would say that GATS provides a lot of opportunities for getting these hours. So in case you're wondering like, oh, how am I going to reach 100 hours or 250 hours in 1 year? I think that GATS provides a lot of opportunities. I got most of my hours through the tutoring programs and through going to the Tamil Sangam events. And Kritika Auntie is always there to help you. So if you're ever like confused on where to get your hours, Kritika Auntie and all the people in the admin team, they do a really good job in providing you all the opportunities. And yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to GATS for providing us youth and high schoolers with so many opportunities and exposing us to get good volunteering and gaining all that self-confidence. I think that's very important when it comes to volunteering. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pratna. That's very kind of you to say. And I just want to mention, so here is one example, like Pratna is a volunteer who has already received this award, but yet she continues to volunteer with us. She still is in charge of the attendance in the GATS tutoring team. And Ariman is also one such volunteer. Like, I mean, wherever we need help, whenever he's available, he always pitches in. And Anuditi, who was one of the presenters here today, she continues to serve as the GATS youth advisor. So these are some of the, inspirational students that everyone should look up to. And do we have anyone else who would like to share their experience?
Can I share?
Oh, of course, Ariman, please.
So the reason that I want to share mine specifically is because okay, when we think about volunteering, right, there's different kinds, right? There's charity related volunteering, and then there's teaching kids kind of volunteering. That's something that GATS provides. When I stepped in, when I started partaking in GATS events, I got all my hours through photography. Basically all my hours, like maybe 95% of my volunteering hours were done from photography. The thing is, during the time, photography wasn't an open role to anyone for any of the events, right? It wasn't really an organized thing, and no youth were stepping up to take photos for all the events. So I myself, I decided I don't want to do all of my hours with charity and things like that. I wanted to do something I'm more interested in at the same time. So I decided to go and ask Kritika about the chances that I can get for each event, where I could actually go in and take photos for a couple hours. And eventually, over time, GATS has many events in one calendar year. Over time, that accumulated enough for me to get the Presidential Service Award. But that's more of an add-on. For me, it was the fact that I was still able to explore my photography passion outside of, just my house, right? I was able to implement that at actual events where it more mattered, right? So that's why I wanted to share my take on volunteering and the Presidential Award as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ariman. Is there anyone else who would like to share their experience?
Yeah, I would like
Yeah.
to. Hi everyone, my name is Sarvesh Selvam. I'm a junior at South Forsyth High School. This is a really good opportunity. I won the Silver Medal Award in 2023. This is a really good opportunity. You get to experience a lot of volunteering. So what I've done is I've tutored kids. I've gone to many 5K marathon race events. I've volunteered in badminton. I volunteered in sports. I've volunteered in running. So you get to know what people are around you, and you know yourself, how much you want to experience yourself. So this is a good opportunity, and it'll look good on your college transcript too. So it's really recommended to do this.
Thank you so much, Sarvesh. Yeah, Sarvesh is our Silver Award winner, and he worked really hard for it. So thank you for joining us here and sharing your experience.
Sure, Kritika.
Thank you, Ma. So next slide, I think that's all. We've come to the end. And yeah, before that, Harsha, if you don't mind, can you go back to the requirements slide? I think a few people were asking about the hours requirement. So if you can share both the slides, people can just screenshot if needed. Yeah. Yeah, this is the requirements from GATS. So please take a screenshot. And the other one is the age category with hours. Yes, thank you. So this information, you can find it on the PVSA website as well. It's all listed over there. Okay. So we see a few questions in chat. We'll definitely answer those during the Q&A time, which is next. Yeah. Okay, so that's all from us. In the interest of time, I just had to rush through, so please bear with me. If you still have any questions, please email us, and Selvam or I will be happy to answer any of your questions. Okay, so Harsha, back to you. You can take over for the Q&A session.
Thank you, Kritika Aunty, for that amazing presentation. It was really great. And yeah, I'm also a volunteer. I love it so much. Guys, I mean, lots of people start out volunteering just for the, the credit hours and the application aspect to bolster their application. And though that is a great part of it, I mean, the community and the great times that you have during volunteering, it's next to none. I've made so many friends. I've had so many great, fun times through volunteering. I've met really cool people. And I mean, personally, I did tutoring and I did, sales at GATS, and it was really fun. So honestly, I really, really recommend it. Guys, volunteer. It's amazing. All right, before we go to Q&A, I would like to reiterate feedback. Guys, we would really, really appreciate some feedback. I'm going to put this link into the main chat. So please, please, please fill out that form. We would really, really appreciate it. And thank you for, all the feedback that's been going on in the chat thus far, but we would love it if you, completed the form, so we all had it in a little consolidated space under the form feedback. And yeah, we would appreciate it, because honestly, this is what keeps the program running. We know what to improve on, we know what to keep, we know what to refine, and so we would genuinely appreciate it. All right, so going back to Q&A, here we go. This is incredibly important, the moment you've all been waiting for, questions and answering. All right, any question you want, we will go back and address some of the previous questions that were unanswered in chat, and you guys can ask any one of us any question you would like to have answered. Just shoot, we'll answer it. Anything, yeah.
Harsha, did you look at the chat, like any questions that we had? I think there were a few questions that we have not yet answered.
Let's see. I did say I was going to touch on someone's question earlier. Let me go up to that. There we go. So, someone asked what sort of help we get from schools on college applications. And from my experience, it heavily depends, all right? Your college counselors are always going to be there in high school. They're going to give you great feedback on your essays. And guys, if you're taking AP Lit or AP Lang, your teachers are going to be a great help. However, lots of in-depth college questions, you're not going to get answered through just your high school counselors. You're going to have to, definitely look online or look to other people, because our specific demographic in this community, in our area, it's very competitive. And most of you guys know that. You've probably experienced it. And some of the times the academic resources that the school provides isn't up to par with what the competition is asking from you as a college applicant. So definitely look at your peers, look at what you're shooting for, and correspond your behavior dependent on that. So for example, if you're applying to Georgia Tech and your college counselor or your high school counselor says that, yeah, you only have to take 4 APs, it's fine, but all your friends and your peers and everyone you know is taking 10 plus APs, you're going to want to take 10 plus APs, because that's how you're going to stay competitive out of your applicant pool. Now, colleges, they always consider you in context. And what this means is that if you go to a poorer area where test scores and GPA is on the lower spectrum of things, you're going to have an advantage even if you have a subpar GPA. So for example, if I had a 3.5, but I went to a school in the countryside where the average is a 3.3, I'm most likely going to get accepted into higher and more competitive schools. However, if I had that 3.5 at a school like Lambert High School, where the average is a 4.2 and above, I am not going to have a fair chance at a competitive school like, for example, Georgia Tech. And lots of times, the academic advisors in school don't address that. So really, take that initiative and do research on your own school, on your own applicant pool, see how competitive it is, see what your peers are doing, what you want to do, and push for excellence in all aspects of the college application process. So I hope that now answers your question. If anyone else has, please provide the overview or insight about time management approach, which helps all high school students. All right. Time management is incredibly important. I think that's the broadest answer you can get. Personally, time management was a very big, paramount learning curve for me. I did not have the skills of time management that I have today. And that definitely set me back in terms of the college application process. But if I were to give advice, do things the second they are assigned. If I have an essay due 3 months into the future, all right, there's a reason for those 3 months being assigned to you. Do them as soon as possible, or get them started as soon as possible, right? Because I don't question the fact that you can get that essay done in like 2 or 3 days, or even a night if you really wanted to. But I can assure you with utmost confidence that you are not going to get the same amount of quality that you will if you did spend 3 months on it. And that quality is what makes you stand out amongst every other college applicant, or even in high school. If you took all that time that was given to you, 3 months, and you spent each and every day, it can be like 10 minutes a day, just refining that essay, making it better. If you make it 1% better for 3 months, in the end, you're going to have something 90% better than what you started out with. And that's That's quite significant. So as far as time management goes, do things the second they're assigned, just get them done. Don't procrastinate. I know it's really easy to, but procrastination is usually stemmed from fear. And for me, I used to be a huge procrastinator, and my fear was not being perfect. All right. It was like, if I do this essay, I don't know how to perfect it. I don't know how to make it good. I'm just going to, put it to the side, and until I figure it out, I'm not going to start it. But that's so counterproductive and counterintuitive. If you put it to the side, you're never going to get it done. And it's going to be the opposite of perfect, guys. If you want something to be near perfect as possible, get it started now. And that's a habit that many of you guys have to break. It's a habit that you guys have to work on. But not procrastinating, it's a huge thing. And as Stuti said, Excel sheets, organizing everything, it's really important. And yeah, if anyone else has anything to add about organization or time management skills, please, you are welcome to. It could be high school students or, one of the panelists we had today, but that's my 2 cents on the topic.
Thanks,
See, any other
Harsha.
questions?
Yeah, there are still some more questions. Sorry, I think I skipped a few, but there is one from Sarvesh. It's for Ariman. He's asking, like, what are the most common mistakes that many students make on the college essay, and how do I avoid them?
Okay, so in terms of mistakes, there's no proper definition for a mistake unless it's like a really obvious one, like grammatical errors and punctuation, things like that. Those are like obvious. Those are like very obvious mistakes. Other than that, I guess what can be considered as a mistake is probably something even as simple as like not answering the question directly, right? Like for my prompt, for example, it was choose a meaningful interest, talent, whatever is so meaningful to your application that you feel that your application would be incomplete without, right? They've given you this much of a extended prompt for a reason, right? If you don't answer that question, that's like a number one red flag, right? So make sure you're answering the prompt thoroughly and like correctly, right, at the same time. And then I think also Harsha also referred to overdoing a couple essays. So sob stories, and I think one of the most common essays ever written is the sports injury. It's like it's been milked over and over and over again, and it's lost its essence, right? So if you're writing about something like that, like the most common mistake is stating what everyone else says. I guess you can take it in that sense. Everyone's sports injuries are the same exact story. Oh, crucial game, I got injured, we came back, I grew as a person. This is the exact format that every single sports injury follows. That's the most common mistake with like related to writing a sports injury related essay. You want to offer a fresh perspective if you're choosing that kind of an essay. So yeah, as far as mistakes, it's really just obvious ones, and then deterring from the prompt. Those are probably the best mistakes that I can define to you. Other than that, there's no wrong answer. It's more of can I improve my answer? That's how the essay prompt is. Hopefully that answered at least somewhat of your question.
Yeah, I think the third mistake is really obvious. Guys, don't be openly hateful on your essays. I have surprisingly seen some terrible essays, all right? Don't just be a good person, all right? Don't put any, major red flags in your essays like, oh yeah, I hate, something about this that's like directly derogatory towards either a person or something like that. Try to project yourself as a nice and very reasonable person. I hope that's obvious to most of you guys, but I just wanted to say it because other than that, I don't think there's a mistake you can put in an essay.
Thanks, Ariman and Harsha. There was one question from Abhirami. She's asked, like, how do we know PVSA organizations locally? I'm so sorry, I do not know that. It depends upon, organizations, if they advertise it on their website, we would know. But probably if you can check with your school counselor, they might be able to help you. And next question was, how can outside Georgia students volunteer in youth programs except mentor program? Unfortunately, if you're outside of Atlanta, the online programs are the only ones that you can volunteer. For the rest of them, you'll have to be in person to utilize those sessions. Yeah, and third one, how many hours? I think we already shared the screenshot for it. So it depends upon the age category your student is in. If it's your student is in 15 or 16, the hours differ. So I hope you took a screenshot of that. Yeah, I think the rest of the questions we answered. SAT coaching, we do not know when it will be started. We are still looking for a good mentor. And if it is there, it is open to all students. We do not require a fee for it. And for PVSA, the hours are counted in one calendar year. It's from Jan to December. Okay.
All right. So I did see a question about Georgia Tech computer science. And though I am not a Georgia Tech computer science major or student, I do know many that fit that description. And I do know a bit of information that might be able to, help you out. So right now, as in its current state, Georgia Tech Comp Sci is an incredibly oversaturated and competitive major, to the point where they have started limiting, the applications. And even as a transfer student, if you, transfer as Comp Sci, I don't think you can. I'm pretty sure transfer as Comp Sci has been temporarily blocked due to the massive influx of Comp Sci students. And even as a transfer, you can't switch your major. And so it's a really hard program, especially because Georgia Tech is renowned for the computer science program. So honestly, as far as I know, just make sure that you're really demonstrating interest as far as computer science goes. Take those AP courses that exemplify that discipline of study. So AP Comp Sci, P and A, that's going to be really helpful. And extracurriculars, whether it be internships or jobs at Comp Sci based companies, or maybe even projects. All right, I really encourage delving into those other aspects of your application, because you're going to get incredibly talented and incredibly competitive applicants for computer science at Georgia Tech. So you're going to have to stand out beyond the normal means of college applications. So if you're really looking forward to Comp Sci and you're locked in on it, definitely stand out in some way or form. Maybe it's a huge project that you've taken on over the span of 2 years, or a ton of projects that's helped a demographic in need. It could be anything, but use those skills, exemplify your interest in computer science, and just demonstrate that interest in whatever way possible.
Okay, so
how do you get? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, Harsha, 1 minute. The IB program and all that, AP and IB, we have covered it in yesterday's session, Uma. So when the recording becomes available, please do look for it. And Ashna, you've asked about scholarships. That's a really good topic to cover. Unfortunately, we do not have time now. But we are planning to conduct more of these sessions in future, like a series. I do not know how soon it will be done, but from the youth committee, we'll definitely plan for it, and we'll be sure to present that information.
Yeah, Kritika. Now, while I was in the call, I got a call from that West Point kid. Now they said he's going to talk to that management and see if this is the one I said, like IIT of USA, right? US schools, like all the 5 Navy, 5 military academy school. So what he's going to do, he's going to send an email to that his officer rank guys. So probably him and his officers can present another session just to talk about the military school. Now, 5 military school, like a Navy and West Point, and the one in Colorado, another one in New York. Now, probably we should be, presenting another one for the parents and kids. Now, I think they will be sending an email from the school to you directly, and probably you should be getting an email anytime.
Okay, sure. Yeah, we'll definitely plan for upcoming sessions. There are lots of topics that we can provide information on. The only difficulty that we have is, like, most of our students are in college, and it's really hard to get their time. If you see, like, we've been planning for this session to be in person, but we could not make it. But we have like whatever topics that you have requested in the chat, we'll make note of it. Right now, we do not have the time or the expert people to handle those questions, but we'll definitely cover it in future sessions. Okay, with the interest of time, yeah, I think we can turn it over to Selvam uncle. And Selvam is our youth GATS committee liaison for this year, and he handles all the general volunteering. So Selvam, please take it forward.
Yeah. Thanks, Kritika, and thanks, Asha, for moderating this event very nicely. I would like to thank, first of all the participants. There was a very good number of participants to join today. Yesterday, it was over the limit. We could not accommodate some people. So today we opened up a YouTube session also. So totally around 110 participants participated, and there were a lot of questions back and forth. Very interactive. I appreciate all the participation. And coming to this session, there was a lot of work happened behind the scenes. So tons of work was been put up by different people. First of all, the youth volunteers. Starting with Arsha, he was moderating this event, and he was having a lot of prep sessions, and he was coordinating with all the presenters. Thanks a lot, Arsha, for taking care of it. And then Suti Tumala, she did a good job, on top of her college work in between her college classes. She prepared the material and she presented it. And thank you, Suti, for your time and effort. And similarly, Anudipti, I also appreciate your work. You did a good job, making the presentations and then presenting it and taking care of it. And Ariman, I was really like impressed by the essay topic. It was totally a different topic, and you came up with a different angle. That was very good. I think it will be an eye opener for a lot of students, high school students. I appreciate your efforts also, Ariman. Then when it comes to adult volunteers, Kritika, I would say you are one of the main pillars for this event. So you took everything behind the scenes, and working with all the students and coming up with the topics and coordinating with them and doing a lot of work. I could not list it everything here, but I really appreciate all the efforts that you put in. Then Suresh, actually, Suresh Taimanavan was the one who helped us in preparing the flyer for this session. And also today, he was the one who helped us in coming up with another YouTube live session to accommodate more students. Suresh, I appreciate your work. Thanks for your help here. Then Surya is the person, he's the vice president for our organization. He's the one who initiated this topic, and then he asked Kritika and myself to arrange for this, so Surya, thanks for initiating this event. Asha, can you please go to the next slide? Okay, so I also thank the youth committee. This is all the members of the youth committee. I'd like to appreciate them for their contribution towards this info session event and for all the other programs they did this year. Can you please go to the next slide? I also like to thank all the board of directors, and especially thank to Anna Thorai, AD today for joining and giving your information, the overview of GATS, and as well as connecting us with the military school. I really appreciate that, AD. And also on top of it, our officers also were very supportive behind this event. We appreciate them for their contributions. The next slide, please. The last one is there are a lot of operating committee members in this organization. We appreciate their contribution and support for this event. So that's all I got, Asha and Kritika. Can you take it back?
Thank you so much, Selvam. Selvam has also been working alongside me. We both have been reviewing presentations, giving feedback, and also thank you so much, Selvam, for being a huge supporter. So with this, we come to the end of our session. And once again, as Harsha mentioned, please do mention your feedback. Yes, he's just now shared the form again. It's very important to hear back from you all. So that way we know what we need to improve. And if you have specific appreciation for the presenters, please do share that as well, because that is a huge boost for them as well as for us. Okay, so thank you all for spending time with us. I know we went a little overboard with the timing, but thanks for staying with us. Suresh, I think we can stop the recording.
Sure, I'll do that.
Thank you.